Oh, sorry. Which is hosted by She Code Africa. For those of you who don't know what She Code Africa stands for or who She Code Africa is, She Code Africa is a non-governmental organization, that's an NGO, which is dedicated towards empowering women in technology, which we naturally like to call the tech queens. We're dedicated towards celebrating women in technology, dedicated towards empowering women in technology all through Africa. And we do this through our women-focused initiatives and our programs. My name is Estrom Queen Olamide, and I'll be your host for this event. Trust me, we have so much in store for every one of us today. She Code Africa has put together this wonderful International Women's Day event. As we all know, we're still in Women's Month. And today's program is centered towards celebrating women's achievements in technology. We're also focused on, what do you call it? I'm very sorry. We're very, very dedicated towards, shattering bias, stereotypes and all other forms of misconceptions that people have concerning women in technology. We have amazing speakers here this evening who will be talking to us on various topics. We have topics like career growth. We have on how to validate your business idea. We also have room for those of you who are thinking about joining, the software world or the technology world, and you feel like you're too old for that. We have someone here who joined when she was in her 30s, and she'll be here to talk to us about her experience. We have that and so much more in store for you. We also have someone who'll be talking to us on leadership in the community and our roles as women in leadership. I'm sure a lot of people actually feel like women have no place in the seat of power and things like that. And we have someone here, a woman, of course, who will be talking to us on our roles. We all have roles to play, trust me, in leadership in our community. And we have someone who will be talking to us on the future of work. The future of work, the future of technology, and how women can be a part of it. So I think from everything I've said so far, we can see that women are actually involved in every single sphere of life. We have equality everywhere. So let us not limit ourselves. Let us not, restrict ourselves to the back end. Sorry, I'm bringing in some tech jokes, but seriously, though, let us not limit ourselves to the back end. Let us always be at the front, because that is where our impact will be felt a lot. Obviously, there are people who will be restricted to the back end because of, what they're good at and things like that, their skills and their talents. But for some of us, we can also be at the front end. We can also be, at the forefront of people. We have amazing women who will be here today. I also have a co-host who will be with me. So I'd like you all to sit back and enjoy yourself. Very quickly, I've introduced myself already. Like I said, I'm Queen. I would like to know what your names are. I'd like to know where you are, watching us from. Okay, I can see Balogun Fatima front. Us, please would like to know where you're from. Okay, we have Nafisa Umar from Nigeria also, and she's a second-year software engineering student. Wow. Welcome, you're welcome. We have Miriam Dada, she's a humanitarian from Yola. Oh, wow, thank you. Oh, wow, we have, Balkis, again, a data scientist and self-care advocate. Oh, tuning in from Edo State, Nigeria. You're welcome. You're
I've been added to the stream. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Queen was cut off for a bit. We're quickly going to look again at everybody that is joining us from wherever around the world. We'd love to see who's here, what do you do, and you can even make it more exciting. Drop your favorite emoji down below. Okay, I can see Uloma from Abuja. Okay, Fayomi Bridget from Nigeria. Welcome, welcome everybody. We're so happy to have you here. If you haven't already, please make sure to go to our various social media platforms and then publicize to your friends and people that know you that you are here with us during this event so that as many people as possible can join us and we can all have a good time. Hello, Lami. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Metal hug. Okay. Yes. Go on Twitter. Go on Facebook. Let people know you're here and let other people join and also benefit from this. Like Queen said earlier, this is for every woman in tech. If you are a woman in tech, if you know a woman in tech, please call them, let them join us, and let's all have a good time. So that we not take too long of your time, I am going to quickly introduce our first speaker. I'm going to introduce our first speaker for this event, a wonderful woman in tech. First, we have Marlene. Marlene is a Zimbabwean software engineer. She's an explorer, she's a speaker, she's based in the city of Harare. She's an advocate for using science and technology for social good and increasing diversity in this field. She's a director and vice chair for the Python Software Foundation and is currently working with the Rapid team at NVIDIA. Marilyn, we're so happy to have you here. Marilyn is going to be talking to us about from challenge comes change. What do you do to hashtag choose to challenge? Thank you so much, Marilyn, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Can we see my screen? I wonder if that, okay, I see it now. I'm really, really excited to be here. Thank you to She Code for inviting me. It's such an honor because I'm so inspired by the work that She Code has been doing. She Code Africa has been doing across the continent. And so it is such an honor for me to be here. I'm going to just go ahead and jump right in. I'm not going to spend too much time introducing myself. If you are interested in the work that I'm doing, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I am Marlene_ZW on Twitter. And I also have a website. If you're interested in viewing my website, it's marlenemangami@gmail.com. I'm really interested in Python and really, I'm in that software community. It feels like I've been in there for years, but I have really enjoyed the journey. So today, I'm going to be speaking to you. The theme of the conference at this amazing She Code Africa conference is about challenge and change and sort of that duality that comes, I don't know about you guys, but 2020 and 2021 have been challenging years for me personally. I don't know. I think for a lot of people, these past 2 years have been quite challenging and have actually brought on a huge opportunity for change and a huge opportunity, I think, to challenge many aspects of our own lives. And I think for people who have eyes to hear, to see and ears to hear, this has been a really good opportunity to sort of have introspection and see how the way sort of we can change and we can change the communities around us. But when I was thinking about what I should share with you today, the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, I feel like I know a lot about the challenges that are out there. I think there are so many challenges that you're going to face, that I'm facing today, that are brought on by different people, that are brought on by ourselves. But what are the things that I want to ultimately see changing, and particularly for myself and for many of the women watching right now, what are the things that African women in technology want to see changing in our world today? And so the first thing that came to my mind as an African woman is that I want to see African women leading at the highest levels possible in technology. And although this is something that I think has been spoken about a lot, I think the Black Lives Matter movement has really made a huge impact on the way people view Black people. There's been so many movements. Even I've seen the amazing empowering movements across Nigeria for women. But I would say specifically in the tech industry, I have seen a lack of women, African women specifically, leading at those very, very high levels. And so that's something that I felt, even at this conference, I was just like, you know what, this is something I would like to see changing. And not only that, today, I would like to challenge you, the African women watching, even people who are not African women. If you are a European man, an African man, whoever you are watching, there's several things that I want to challenge you about to help us sort of move into this future where I believe things we can change so that we ultimately see this thing becoming a reality where we have more African women in leadership. So the first thing that I want to talk about is challenging yourself. So before we even start trying to change the world, before we even start trying to go to, I don't know, Microsoft or Google or wherever and say, we want women in leadership, we want African women taking over, take out Bill Gates and put in an African woman. I think the first thing we have to do is we have to look inwards. And becoming a leader doesn't just happen overnight. You don't just sort of, I don't know, you don't, some people do. Some people are just great from birth and they just step in there and are great and ready to lead and do all these amazing things. But I think leadership for most people is a process, and it's the person you yourself become and you yourself grow into. And so there's several things in my own personal journey, several ways that I've had to challenge myself in growing and becoming a better woman, becoming a better leader. And so I want to just talk to you about those things that I've kind of had to address within myself. So the first thing is diligence. And, you know, I think it was actually 2020, at the beginning of the year before the panoramic hit, just before that, I had lots of plans. But when I was sort of like, I had this moment where I was sort of introspecting, I sort of spent some time even in prayer and just like just thinking to myself, what do I want to focus on? And what do I want to focus on this year? You know, I sometimes have this motto, like a motto for the year. And, you know, so many preachers are maybe preaching, this is the year of blessing, or this is the year of whatever, I don't know. But I felt like to myself that I wanted it to be the year of diligence for me. And I chose the word diligent because I think that a lot of people underestimate how many opportunities are available, how many things can be accomplished just by simply showing up, just by simply, if you say, I'm going to do something, you actually following up and saying, okay, I'm going to do that. And for me, 2020 was one of those really challenging years where there were so many things that I didn't want to do. Like I had to organize a conference it's the second time I'm ever organizing a conference. And I really didn't feel like it. But because I had said, okay, this year is the year, if I committed to doing something, if I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to follow that through. I'm going to make sure that I do it. And because of that, I managed to host that conference. I did so many things, and so many opportunities came from that. And so I would definitely encourage you, diligence is something as a woman, as a leader, that you should work on, and as a software engineer as well. Diligence is something, if you tell your manager, I'm working on this feature, you're gonna have to want to be diligent with that to advance in your career. The second thing is humility. So I think as women who want to lead, who want to grow and change in our own lives, humility is a really big thing, because I think people who are humble are people who are teachable. And I was really surprised so I've been at NVIDIA now for about a year, and I was surprised when I first started going through the review process, where I would write my code and I would push my code to GitHub, and then people would review my code. And people would sometimes tell me, that's not good. That's not the right thing you should have done there. And I think as software engineers, particularly, you're constantly getting feedback. And as someone who is in leadership, or someone who's even just doing your job and wanting to do your job with excellence, learning how to take feedback and change yourself when other people from your community are challenging you is something that's really key. And I think that's something that will advance you in your career as well. And then the third thing as well is creativity. I think that creativity is a key part of being able to change yourself. I think we're constantly evolving as women, as African people as well. I think our narratives are constantly evolving, and I think it's so important for us to be creative in the way that we present ourselves, in the way that we present our projects, even in the things that we do. There's so many new takes. I think technology is all about innovation and doing new things and trying out new new ideas. And creativity is a central part of that. And so I would encourage you, even in your branding, like your personal branding, how are you challenging yourself to be more creative in the things that you do? So talking about creativity, this actually leads me to my second point, which is, I think, creativity is a key part of this next challenge that I'm putting across to you. And that second point is to challenge the narrative. And what I mean by this is that there's so many stories that are being told. There's so many stories every day that are being told about African women, about who we are, what we represent, and I think a lot of the times, those stories sometimes are not showing the full picture of who we are. You look at some of the stories that come out on BBC or CNN about Africa, and you'd really think that we don't have electricity. You really think we're starting from scratch, that we're in famine every year. You're really thinking, these guys, if I was just watching CNN, I would think that, there's nothing going on in Africa. And so that oftentimes I think for African women, the narratives that surround us can be overwhelming. And it's so important for us to start to challenge the narrative. And when I started thinking about women who are challenging the narrative, these three women are some women that came to my mind. The first one is Chimamanda, and I think she is an incredible example of an African woman that has stood out in her field as someone who is strong, who is powerful, who is leading, the field. She's on Beyonce's song. I was just listening to the other day, and just love the way that she has shaped a sort of new African narrative that has empowered a lot of African women, I think, across the continent. Someone else I thought about was Lupita Nyong'o, and I think Lupita has sort of challenged this narrative of beauty, even with African women. I know for myself, being a woman who is in Africa, I feel like our hair is a really big part of this. And even like sometimes on software teams, you're showing up to a meeting, your hair is just, people not understanding the hair or something. And I feel like she has been so true to who she is and has really reshaped that narrative of beauty. And of course, our very own Ada, who has challenged the narrative in technology of what it looks like to be a woman who is on the forefront of technology, leading an ecosystem at one of the biggest companies in the world. And that's such an important narrative to have as African women. That's such an important example for us to have to look up to. And I love this quote. There was someone who says, those who tell the best stories shape the culture. And I would challenge whoever's watching right now, if you're a woman in technology, I would challenge you to think about how you're telling your story. Take control and take charge of your story. Think about, what do I have to offer the world that is different from the person next to me? And begin to tell your story. I love speaking at conferences because I think the opportunities you even get by just telling people that, hey, I'm an African woman, but I'm great at technology. I can code really well, or I can design really well. I'm super creative. And this is like something that the world has never sort of experienced before, these African designs or this approach that I take. And so I think telling stories well is also something that's super important for us to be able to shape the culture and the narrative. And then the final thing, because I only have 15 minutes, so I don't have much time. But the final thing that I want to talk about is also challenging the future. So it's so important for us to be able to feel empowered for ourselves. We should be advancing in our fields of technology. We should be, speaking at conferences and changing the narrative, letting people see us for who we are, and telling them about our stories and the things that we are doing that are really incredible. And I think all of those things are important, but at the same time as well, it's really important for us, particularly if you are in the field already. You are a woman who's working in technology, or in design, for example, or leading ecosystems in one way or another. I think it's important for us to remember that our journeys are not just to benefit ourselves. When we excel, when we do well, we create an atmosphere for other people to also do well, for other people to also thrive. And I think that, it's important for us to think about future generations. There's a really good quote that my girl Oprah, gave. And the quote is that a mentor is someone who helps you see the hope inside yourself. And I think there's so many people that are going to be coming after us who shouldn't have to face the same challenges. When I was first getting into technology, there were so many challenges. I even remember just instances where I was just getting in and I felt so insecure about what I was learning and if I felt like I was good enough. And just sometimes going to a meetup and someone explaining something unnecessarily in a difficult way. Like, I'm asking you what a string is. I don't need to know what object-oriented programming entirely is in this moment, right, in this second. So I don't know. But I think as women, something that we could do for each other as well is strengthen each other and to be there, be that person that you needed when you were starting out. Whether that is teaching someone, and making sure they have someone who can explain concepts to them well. Whether that's just being a good mentor in your job. There are younger, maybe junior developers that would love your support. How can you also make sure that you're bringing them on, you're lifting them up in your work, and making sure when they do something, you're also sort of amplifying their work. Or just even being someone who is publicly uplifting others. I think all are good ways to just strengthen the people around you and also to challenge the future of the tech world and the tech space. So that is actually all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really have enjoyed speaking to you today. And yeah, thank you for having me. Oh, I think Queen is supposed to be speaking, but I can't I can't hear what she's saying. Hi, Amarachi.
Okay. Hi, Marlene. Thank you so much for that wonderful session. It was very amazing. Thank you so much. And if you got something, I definitely know you got something from this session. Please tweet it, let people know what's going on here. I mean, this session was mind blowing. It's 15 minutes of packed value. Yeah, someone is already saying so lovely. Yeah, thank you so much, Marlene, for this
Thank you
session.
for
I greatly
having
appreciate
me.
it. Yeah, yeah. So we are going to do a little exercise on this very topic, but that will be much later. Okay. So I'm the third host you're seeing for this event today. So that is to show you how determined we are to bring you a very wonderful event despite the network challenges. The network here is very horrible. Trust me, I know you already know about that. So we had backups and backups and backups. So even if mine fails, this event continues. Another host will come up. Okay. So without further ado, let's bring up our first speaker, if I should call her that, because Marlene is our keynote speaker. Okay. So our first speaker now is Miracle Ewim. Miracle Ewim is a certified digital marketer, and she is also the founder of We Lead Africa, and she's going to be speaking to us about the future of work. You just heard Marlene mention challenging the future. Okay, so how do you challenge the future if you don't even know what it's supposed to look like, when you can't even imagine this future you want to challenge? So Miracle here is going to be talking to us about the future of work and how women can get involved. Okay, so thank you so much, Miracle Ewing, for joining us today. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you. Please confirm that you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Perfectly loud and clear.
I didn't get that. Can you hear me? Please confirm that.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly.
All right. Thank you so much. Happy International Women's Month to all the amazing, beautiful women out here. You know, whenever I'm in a room filled with women, I feel so elated, so delighted. I feel like I am in the right place, and you can never go wrong when you are with women. So thank you so much, She Code Africa, for having me, and I celebrate all the amazing, beautiful work you guys do. So without further ado, I'll just jump into the conversation of today, the future of work and how women can get involved. I must commend the previous speaker, Marlene. It was an amazing one. I learned a lot from that session as well. So let's jump in. The future of work and how you and I can get involved. First of I didn't want to go all techie. The tech is here, but I wanted it to have a very heart-to-heart conversation to the random person out there, right? To that student in college or in the university, you're confused, or in high school, how do I do this? What do I do, right? Or to you know, that young graduate out there that does not know the path to toll, and you're hearing technology, and you're confused. You're like, how do I go about it? What do I need to do? What do I need to know? How do I prepare myself? So this session is for you, and I hope you're ready and enthusiastic to pick one or two things from this session. So next slide. So we're looking at the fourth industrial revolution, the future of work, tech skills everyone needs to know, and you know how to digitalize your enterprise. So next slide, please. I'll try to be fast. So you cannot talk about the future of work without the fourth industrial revolution, right? So it's technology has been progressive. It's been from one revolution to another, to another, and to another. And now we are saying that there is something else coming. We are currently in the fourth industrial revolution, although we've not fully harnessed it, and we're like, there is also something else coming. So we need to understand where we are and know how to prepare for what is it to come, and know how to prepare for what the next possible revolution will be. That's why I believe that the foundation for this subject is understanding where we are with technology and what we can do currently before we begin to explore possible options. Next slide. So when we hear the fourth industrial revolution, what do we mean? Like, it's a term coined by Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. And he puts it as the revolution that is brought about by bringing in multiple technologies together to create a smarter experience and interaction. Now, simply put, right, in the Stone Age, where before you could just light a fire, for example, something as basic as a fire, you need people to get two stones together and make a light. That was one part. Then a matchstick came. I want us to look at technology with things around us. Something as basic as a matchstick was an evolution. It was creating a solution to a problem. So we are saying, how do you utilize technology at every stage? Okay, what's the problem we have right now? And what technology can we create that can solve the problem? That helps to form a basis of a revolution, right? So we are saying that the world has progressed from a first industrial revolution to a second, to a third, and to a fourth. Let's continue looking at what Klaus Schwab said. Schwab sees it as part of this revolution, bringing emerging technology breakthroughs in fields such as artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, quantum computing, and nanotechnology. All of these are big words. We'll understand this later, right? The fourth wave of the Industrial Revolution is expected to see the heavy implementation of several emerging technologies with high potential of disruptive effects. So we think we've seen it, but there is more to come. That is what this is trying to tell us. You think you've seen robotics, for example. You think you've seen a 3D printer, for example, but there is more to come. And the question is, are we ready? Let me digress a little. Well, I don't know where this notion came from, but I have a lot of people that feel and say that technology is a man's world, it's a man's job. And I'm like, how exactly is this supposed to happen? How are we saying this to ourselves? How do we wake up and tell the young girl child or make the girl child know through our words, our actions, our thoughts, and all of these things that technology is in man's world? Whereas there are problems in this world. I want us to begin to look at technology as a tool to solve problems. Take, for example, there's a technology that is supposed to help cure endometriosis, for example, menstrual cramps. Would you leave it in the hands of a man to create solution to that kind of problem? I mean, no matter the kind of research this person is going to put into it, no matter the kind of work this person is going to put into it, the person does not feel it. It's not like saying you don't want, you understand something to the level at which you know about it. So men, there are restrictions to these things when it comes to gender. So when we talk about technology and inclusion, we mean that there are problems, universal problems, and there are problems specific for both genders. How do we get everyone prepared to actually create solutions? That's the most important thing. Again, I make boast to mention that technology is a tool to solve a problem. And as long as there are problems that affect men and women, technology should not be a thing that should be left to the women alone. And that's why I'm amazed and excited to see women coders, women venturing into robotics and emerging technologies and all of that. But then there's a lot of things there's a gap that still needs to be closed, right? So in Nigeria, for example, we hear a lot of fintech companies that are coming in, just selling big companies are acquiring them. A lot of things are happening in the fintech spaces. And you look at their founders and you find out there are two young guys doing this thing. No offense to the masculine gender. It's beautiful, it's lovely. But then when it comes to a place of decision, when it comes to making products, right, that will solve specific problem in the society, you find out that most of the products that are made are, whether we like it or not, somewhat streamlined to suit the masculine gender. And it's not because these guys are doing it knowingly, but it's because that is what they understand. That is what they know. What does that say? We need more female product designers. We need more female at the helm of affairs. We need more females coming out to say, no, we don't want to be at the background again. We want to actually own startup companies. We need to take the bull by the horn. Okay, what can we do? What can we do? What skill do I need to learn at this point that will help me profile solution, that will help me create a technology that will solve the problem to something that one of the problems are specific to women. I don't know if we understand what I'm saying. But then again, technology, I mean, we are all here. That clearly says that technology is not a man's world. But then what's the ratio? If this was supposed to be an international men's month, for example, and it's something you're discussing technology, this room will be full because this is something that interests them. But then how many of your friends that are females can you discuss technology with? That's the truth, right? Whilst I would say let's get sad, but it's not something to be sad about. What I would say is let's make the technology conversations more engaging, right? Let's talk about I'll get into that in my comment slide, but let's make it more engaging. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just a breakdown as to how technology has grown. So from the first industrial revolution, from the end of the 18th century to the start of the 20th century, we saw things like steam engine, mechanical manufacturing, electricity. What we think electricity, it's normal now, but that was a solution to a problem. That's how I want us to begin to picture technology, a solution to a problem. We went from then to computer automation and manufacturing. We went from then to cyber physical items. That's where we are now. Cyber/physical items to the Internet of Things and all of that. Now, what kind of talents are required for all of these things? In the first industrial revolution, the talents, when we keep saying skill up, become a better version of yourself, it's talent. This thing is progressive. In the first industrial revolution, we saw things like physical labor, basic engineering skill was all that was required for you to stand out at that point. Then we went to the point of electricity, mass production, and all of that. We saw things like business mindset. It was a reduced risk and all of that. Third industrial revolution, we saw things like deep expertise, disciplinary, and the basic STEM skills. And now we are saying beyond tech, you should be able to learn fast, adapt fast, be empathetic, because you need to feel people's problem before you can actually create technology that solves them. And be able to do more than one disciplines at the same time. So this is how technology has progressed going forward. Next slide, please. I need to run because I haven't even started. I want to go over my slides and start. Next slide, please. So what is the future of work and how does that concern us? Again, it's the application of technology to improve workplace. It is inclusion of tech which will lead to a change in the conventional workplace, like we've seen remote job, gig economics and all of that. Now let me talk to us as ladies and leave this presentation for a second. COVID pandemic hit and a lot of people were laid off of jobs. The ratio at which people were laid off of jobs from the COVID-19 pandemic, it was discovered that more women lost their jobs as compared to the men. Why? Because women did more of the physical interaction kind of jobs, right? So like customer service agents, some of these things that require like the front desk person and all of that. And when there was COVID, there was no need for all of that. And many of these companies could not survive, so they laid off all of these people. So when we talk about preparing women for the future of work, when we talk about learning skills that would help you stay relevant, we're not saying do this because of She Code Africa, do this because of Miracle Away. No, we are saying this because whether you like it or not, things will change. Whether you like it or not, the world will progress. Whether Nigeria or Africa chooses to stay behind, right, and not catch up with the trends, life will move on. The point is, would you let the revolution that is happening meet you unprepared? When I was let me use myself as a practical example. When I was a kid, all our parents wanted us to be was either a doctor, a lawyer, all those conventional things, a pharmacist and all of that. There was nothing like digital marketing. Like, I didn't hear it. And when I heard marketing, whenever I heard the word marketing, I hated it. I hated marketing not because it was something terrible, but because of the way it was presented. I took marketers as beggars, so to speak. I'm talking about the 10-year-old, 11-year-old me, right? I took marketers as those that would carry, products and go from door to door and saying, please come and buy from me. Please come and do this. please come and do that. That was what marketing is for me. And I was like, this is not what I want to do. In fact, it was not even among my first 20 choices. And I went to a normal university in Nigeria where, they keep teaching you with outdated materials, backdated materials, and all of that. In fact, they were teaching us what was relevant in the 1980s. And this was 2000. We were still using that. Then I remember going for my industrial training, and there's this 6 months compulsory industrial training you have to do in Nigeria. And I'm like, is this really what I wanted to do? Like, my mates were, they struggled to get a placement. My mates struggle. Come on, we're just in school. We are coming straight into the labor force. We thought this was going to be an easy ride. We thought we were coming in and, at least we are students. We are not asking for jobs yet. We are just saying, give us a place to intern. We are not asking for jobs yet. And best believe that many of these companies did not want to absorb us. Like, they were like, I'm full, there is no space. I don't know if anyone has, I can't go through the comments, but if the moderator can help us project some. I don't know if anyone has encountered this before, where, you just want to intern, just want to learn. And these organizations are saying you don't have experience, they don't need you and all of that. And that's when it dawned on me that the game has changed, fam. I read microbiology in school. So I'm like, this game has changed. People are playing it differently. What I thought is no longer the case, right? So I'm like, this cannot be it. What do I do? How do I scale up? What do I need to do? And that was when I now began intense research. Research is very, very important. I began intense research. I spoke to a lot of people. I'm like, please, guys, have you guys seen this thing? What do I need to do? Or someone is even looking for a place to intern. Come on, it's a struggle. Like, it's a struggle. I began intense research. I began to ask questions. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to go into the job workforce as an unprepared. What do I need to do? What do I need to know? And again, that's why I say there's a lot of relearning that needs to be done, especially among the female folks. I had friends that would say to me that, why are you stressing yourself? Just finish university, get married, and one man will open a boutique for you. I'm like, come on. This is not what I want to do with myself. I'm ambitious. I'm gutting, right? I have a lot of things I want to do. I don't just want to be in one man's house and open a boutique and all of that. No, that's not what I want. I actually want to work. What do I need to do? What skill do I need to learn that will make me ready, right, for the future of work? That will make me ready for the workplace. And that's when one of my friends is like, have you heard about digital marketing skills? I'm like, what is that? What does that even mean? I began to research. I went on Google, took the course, went on a program. I just began to learn. After my service, I had known like a tiny bit of it. And when it was time for me to, finish service and get a job, I was actively now searching for a place to intern, not as a microbiologist, because I knew that I had already encountered that in the past. I was a digital marketer. Where can I work? What can I do? And all of that. And I was able to get a place. And that was how I've been able to grow in my career step by step, right? So imagine if I was not ready. I was hanging on to what I used to know in the past. I know a lot of people that were in my class. No disrespect, nothing, I respect them, but are unemployed today, not because they're not smart, but because they don't have what to keep them relevant. They don't have the required skill that will make them stand out in what it is to come. You can be smart, right? Just okay, let me use this as an example. Imagine you're a very, very talented matchstick lighter. When you know how to make the best of fires. When you make a fire, like the whole world will stop. When you make a fire, things will change. As beautiful as that is, it is very irrelevant. Nobody cares making a fire is like the basic things. In fact, yeah, gas cookers right now that you don't even need a matchstick for or a lighter for, just need to turn it on. So no matter how great you were at producing matches, it has become obsolete. That's why we need to begin to think about jobs relevant. And let me quickly rush to the jobs that I believe that every lady needs to know, every lady needs to have. Next slide, please. Because you don't want to go out and let it meet and let the world meet you unprepared. I need to know how much time I have. You don't need to go out and let the world meet you unprepared, right? You need to face, oh my God, I'm almost out of time. You need to face you need to equip yourself, right, to face the world that is coming. So let me just quickly rush that. Things like digital marketing. I see a lot of coders here. Yes, a lot of things. The COVID pandemic told us that if your marketing or if your business was just strictly based on physical stores and door-to-door marketing and all that, so it's never going to survive. So we need people that are going to fill in that gap. We need more web developers. We need more social media managers. We need more SEO specialists. We need more SEM specialists. We need more content marketers. For emerging technologies, we need ladies in the blockchain industry. We need ladies in the artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality space. For content development, right? We need more female graphic designers. We need more female video creators, more female editors, animators, people that can make infographics. For data analytics, we need more ladies in the big data sphere, in the business intelligence, data mining, and all of that. For digital transformation and efficiency, right? We need more ladies in cloud services, e-learning, people that can actually create courses and e-learning portals, people that can think outside the box and create collaboration tools like what we saw with Google Meet, things like Asana and the rest of that. In IT security, where cyber security is becoming a thing, we need more ladies with that are in the firewall, endpoints protection, penetration, and all of that. I will not be able to go all across this all over the skills that I've listed out, but I believe the moderators should be able to make my slides available to whoever it is. So all I just came to do today was to encourage you to begin to take all of these things seriously, right? To begin to think about, okay, what are all these things? Research on them individually. Which of them best fits your personality? Which of them do you think you might have interest in? Where do I need to learn them? There's Coursera, there's Udemy, right? There is there are a lot of learning platforms. Dedicate 6 months of your life into becoming one of all of these things and begin to experiment. Don't be after the money at the first time. It will come, I promise you. But just chase expertise, chase knowledge, right? Learn and inhale all these things, and in due time you would stay relevant, not just become relevant, but stay relevant. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Miracle. Oh my goodness, that session was really enlightening. Thank you very, 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 very much. You can post, you can send your comments in for every single thing you have learned. Wow, technology is not a man's world. Please let that keep resounding in your ear over and over and over and over. Technology is not a man's world. Thank you so much, Miracle, for that amazing session. Thank you.
Thank you for having
All right. Moving on right now. Okay, I believe Amarachi will be joining me right now, and we'll be having a little discussion before we bring up the next speaker. But very quickly though, I would like to know what you've learned so far from this session. I have packed a lot. I have actually learned a lot. And one of the main things I actually learned about is the fact that as women in technology, very many times the truth is we are not able to have conversations, like have techie conversations with our friends. I'd like you all to post if you actually agree with me right here. We are not able to have techie conversations with our friends, and I feel like this conversation should start from even buying phones. Buying phones, what are the specs you look out for? Not just the camera and not just the storage space, right? It should have so many other things. We should make techie conversations much more engaging. Amarachi, can you tell us just one or two things that you have learned from this session?
Wow, the session was a mind-blowing one, actually. At some point, I stopped seeing comments. I was like, I believe everybody is frozen at this point because the speaker spoke with so much passion. Like it was more like flowing through the screen, and then everyone was just frozen. Okay, but one thing I got out of the whole thing is that you should just seek relevance. Okay, initially it might not pay, there is a tendency for you to get discouraged when you start out and it's like you're not making money yet. Okay. And then you're like, you need sharp money. Maybe you see a lot of people, they've already started cashing out and all of that. So just keep at it. Okay. Just keep at it, keep learning. Okay. At least this is the learning phase. Eventually you would get to the part where it would pay you, because as Miracle said, it will definitely pay. I love that definitely part. Okay, it's a done thing that it's going to pay as long as you keep investing in the right knowledge at this time. Okay, so before we call up the next speaker, I would love to know where you're joining from. We are streaming this program via YouTube and Facebook. So let's just do a little survey. Where are you joining from? Are you watching via Facebook or you're watching via YouTube? So let me know. Let's know. Just drop it. Facebook, YouTube. Let's do a mini research or survey.
Oh, we even have people who are answering questions already. So this is YouTube, okay. We have Adora,
Okay.
she's joining us from YouTube. We have Esther, YouTube. Uche, YouTube from Lagos. Oh wow. Jamila, YouTube. Akiade Bilkis, YouTube. Babatunde Rocky Bat, YouTube. Patty Breezy, YouTube. Oh, we have someone from Zimbabwe also, YouTube. Oh wow. YouTube
Okay,
has
I know why it's YouTube. Is because I don't think we promoted the Facebook link. I think it was the YouTube link that was more publicized. So I guess a lot of people didn't know it was holding on Facebook as well. But it's okay. Everybody is YouTube eventually. I've seen so much YouTubes. Okay,
so much
all right.
YouTube.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay.
All right. Okay, so I believe we'll be bringing up our next speaker now. Our next speaker is someone who'll be talking to us about spontaneous career growth, right? Yes. And her name is Ruth Ikega. Ruth Ikega is a back-end developer. She's a technical writer. She's a public speaker. She's an open source enthusiast, and so many other techie languages. But obviously, as techie women, we also have our normal lives. Although I feel like technology is our normal life, but then when she's not being all techie, being all involved in technology, she is a social volunteer and she's a voluntary blood donor. Hello, Ruth.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for attending this session and please confirm if I'm audible. Can someone confirm? Okay, if I'm audible. Am I audible? Okay, thank you. So thank you everyone for attending this session, and from the two amazing speakers from Marlene to the other speaker, I've actually learned a lot and I've taken a lot away. So I'll start with my session. So today I'll be talking about spontaneous career growth in 1 year. So it will be something like a personal experience. So I'll be sharing my personal experience while I give you tips that I have developed over 1 year. So on me, I'm Ruth Ikega and I'm in Port Harcourt currently, and I'm a backend developer. I do technical writing and also I'm a GitHub star. I'll be talking about this as I progress in this session. So like I said, this session is just basically about the amazing things I have achieved, my failures, successes in the past 1 year, and how you can start your own tech career if you have not started, or how you can leverage on the tips I'll share in some minutes. So on this session, I'll be taking you through a timeline of my tech journey, sort of like a story, right? And I'll also talk about the lessons learned and also a call to action for everyone that is on this event. So I don't think it would be fair. I don't think I will be able to give this session fully without appreciating Ada, because as I talk on, I would introduce how I got to know Ada. And thank you so much, Ada, and thank you, She Code Africa, for all the opportunities that you have laid by my way, that I have leveraged. Don't worry, you understand better as I share a story. So let's go on a ride from the start of my tech journey to my speaking here to you today. So yeah, I have a BSc in microbiology. I graduated in 2019. So after I finished, after I graduated 2019, December in 2019. So I have friends that were into tech. So prior to that, they were like telling me, "Oh, Ruth, come and don't you want to learn how to code?" Like they'll talk about a whole lot of tech stuff, and I'll be looking at them and make looking at them like, can I actually do this thing, right? So I told my friend, I said, and my friend is Peace Ojeme, right? She has been very supportive too. So shout out to Peace Ojeme. She's a product designer. So I told her, okay, let's see next year, but maybe after microbiology, I would want to try this out, right? So 2020 came, and that was before the pandemic. So I said, okay, actually, I put it as part of my resolutions that, okay, I'll, start a tech career in the year 2020. And towards February, I made that decision, and I started in March. So at February to March 2020, I transitioned from doing microbiology to starting a tech career. And how did I start? I did a little research, and okay, I needed something to link microbiology to tech, because I was a nerd. Oh, I'm still a nerd, right? So I needed something to, like, okay, what's something should spark my interest. So I said, okay, I was going to do data science, and I heard if you want to go into data science, the first programming language you should learn is Python, right? So I started self-learning. So I used to go to a hub in here in Port Harcourt. It's called Tech Creek. So I used to go to the hub and use the internet space and learn on my own. I think I started with the Data Quest, or is it Data Camp? Either one of them. So I was using the both of them. So I started self-learning. Then by this time last year, there was an event. There was an event in a hub called Kensaruba Innovative Hub, and Ada was one of the speakers, right, on that event. It was something like a women event, yeah, but she it was virtual. She gave her session virtually. She couldn't come down to Port Harcourt at that time, so she gave her session virtually. So among everything, and she shared a whole lot of interesting stuff. Amongst everything she mentioned on that talk, she talked about public learning and how she was able to leverage that, and how she shared her story basically. So I was quite intrigued. I was just sitting at the back of and I even introduced myself. I was like, hey, I studied microbiology too, right? So I introduced myself and I asked some questions, but I picked out public learning from that talk. And before then, I had a Twitter account, right? I used to follow so many jokes on Twitter, laugh all around and follow trends and all thereabouts. So when Ada talked about public learning, I said, okay, I'll start this. And I learned about, there's a thing that comes with when you learn about something, the internet just brings them close to you. So I started seeing something like 100 days of code on Twitter. And like, oh yeah, this would be like something I want to engage in, right? So I started doing 100 days of code. So that's how I started public learning, right? I started tweeting about my progress. I started engaging in other tweets. I had to follow a lot of topics on Twitter, because Twitter has this topic feature, right? So I followed a lot of topics on Twitter that are related to tech, so that my timeline would just be filled with tech stuff and tech people tweeting up and down to give me that motivation. So then the next thing I want to talk about, which I'm going to spend a little time here, is leveraging opportunities. So over time, for the past 1 year, I've given myself, I decided to leverage any single opportunity that came by my way. So let me start with the first opportunity that came was She Code Africa mentoring. I was part of the She Code Africa mentoring cohort too, right? So that was like the first opportunity that came my way, and I leveraged that while doing public learning, while sharing my progress. I tried to anything that just comes. Like I'm the kind of person that I do not like once I just see it, even though I'm not qualified for it, I still want to try to do it. So I leverage a lot of opportunities that came my way, both in the world of open source, in the world of tech. I anything I see, any tweet or any information I see that I know would be helpful to my growth, I do not like stay back, right? I always look for a way to either talk to somebody. How do I go about this? How do I actually do this? I send a lot of messages. I engage in other people's stuff. So leveraging opportunities is one very key way to get up and doing in your tech career. So that's that about the story. So let's talk about lessons I've learned over 1 year. Let's look at these lessons one by one. Now, I like talking about the bad side first before the good side. I just like talking about it like that. So one thing is failure is an inevitable, but you don't stop. Now, in past 1 year, yes, I'll talk about the successes. I'll talk about them, but I've 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 had those points of failure. Let me outline one. Let me bring up one. I applied for outreach last year. I gave it my all. Like, if you see why I wrote this proposal, God, like I don't think I gave it my all. So many people I helped. I asked so many people to help me review it. I did a whole lot of things. I gave it my like in the month of I think that was October. Yeah, in the month of October, like I dedicated myself to make sure. I said I was going to get into outreach, but I did not. And that day something happened. I forgot my laptop in a boat ride I booked back home. I left my so when I got home, I just went to sleep. I forgot that I left my bag in the car. It was my friend. The boat guy kept calling, but it was my friend that called me and I woke up, you forgot your laptop. So the thing is, failure is inevitable, but it comes to even rejection mails, right? You get a whole lot of rejection mails, but keep applying because there's if you just stop, that's the end for you. Everything you have put into this just goes down the drain. So yeah, you're going to like failure. Like I'm sure I'm going to maybe in the next maybe after this call I might get one rejection mail, but you shouldn't stop. Dedicate and consistently follow your path. Now, I said earlier that I made a decision, right? Like earlier in the year 2020 that okay, I was going to do this tech thing finally. And what I tried to dedicate. I told myself, you are going to do this thing. You're not going to stop. And I consistently followed it. Consistency here comprises of many things, consistency and practice. So at each step I was in, I made sure that I was doing this thing, even though it's once a day, right? Doing it every day, once or 1 hour in a day. I set timelines, or I set timetables for me to like consistently follow my path. Like an example is okay, when I got into the mentoring program, I said okay, I was going to do it was for 12 weeks, right? So I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to like do one blog post every week. I was going to like dedicate, and that means at the end of that 3 months, I know that so I have 12 technical articles or 12 blog posts that are ready, right? So I consistently did that, and at the end of the day, it really helped me with technical writing at that period in time because I just started. So doing that consistently actually really helped me a lot. So seize opportunities, grab them. Like one thing when I want to apply for a job, right? I look at okay, if I'm 50% up for it, I'll try. The highest thing that can come is a rejection. Now nobody has died from, or except some people that commit suicide, but she said nobody has died from getting a rejection mail or getting rejected. Seize these opportunities. Motivate yourself to push for this. Seize them as you see them. Don't wait for somebody to. You can also like show it to your friends for them to motivate you. That's all right, but seize opportunities as you see them. Engage with people, seize the opportunities as you see them, right? Put and promote yourself out there. So this corners back to like public learning, which is something I really advise anyone I come in contact to. Like, it's a fast track. It just pushes you. Like, just me putting something out that I want to do this. Somebody will just send a DM and you have gotten that. I've gotten so many opportunities by just putting myself out there. Like, show the world that you can do. You are doing something, even though you just started. Show the world that you are doing something. You are making a step, even though it's not the perfect picture. Put yourself and promote yourself. Like, push yourself out there. Now, show up, help others, collaborate, and engage. This part of showing up, that's one thing, like, and helping others. As you start, it's not because you're a beginner. Don't say because you're a beginner you cannot give value to somebody. Trust me, you can give value to, at any level you are. You can give value to people. This is like International Women's. We are celebrating International Women's Day, right? Show up for a woman. Help people. Collaborate in projects. Collaborate with your friends. Collaborate with people on, like, safe spaces. Don't, not like you should collaborate with everything, but safe spaces. Engage in conversations. Push yourself. Like, in this event now, as you heard of this event, how many persons actually invited one woman to come? Okay, that Chicola Africa is having an event. Come, like, engage, help other people. Try to bring other people along. There was I think one of the presenters was talking about how we don't talk about technical things with our friends. Try to talk to them about it. If Peace had not told me, okay, we'd come and learn how to, I would have said, "Oh, it's not something I think I can do," right? So help and collaborate and engage with other persons, right? Now, last point, I would like, take breaks and live life. Like, I've experienced burnout. Like, in throughout the month of January, I was down. I couldn't do anything. I was just looking at my computer, and I could not do a single, like, throughout the month of January. I was totally down. Burnout is real. Like, yes, we want to be serious in tech. We want to be serious and shit, right? But take breaks, calm down, like, enjoy your life, because after you get all the money, you shouldn't slop and die, right? So take breaks, because I have experienced burnout, and it's something very, very crazy. Like, it's going to make you almost lose it, right? So ensure that you take breaks and live your life to the fullest. Enjoy yourself. So now, call to action. Now, what should you do? I've been able to, like, share a bit of my story and lessons I've learned over time and the rest. But what am I calling you to do today? What should you do? And this is not just for beginners. This is for everybody. Whether you are a junior, you've not even started, you're a senior. This is for everybody. Take charge of your tech career. Like, you are in charge here. Nobody should tell you what to do. You know what you want to do for yourself. There are sometimes where like, I tell people that I don't tell people what to do with their life. If they don't want to do this part, allow them, let them be. Take charge of your own career. Set goals for yourself. Set goals that you want to crush, and show up. Like, show up for yourself first. Show up for yourself, show up for another person. So this particular last point now is something like an activity, right? As much as you can do, I want you, right, everybody listening to me here, I want you to promote a woman in tech today. Like, talk about, like, just, if it's an appreciation message, if it's what the person, Ada is an amazing software, and, like, promote a woman in tech, so that people will see that, yes, there are women that, like, there was a Twitter space conversation yesterday, and it was really, really very just a long one. Promote somebody today, woman in tech today. It's not just the month of March that everybody will start, okay, what can we do. It's promote a woman in tech today, tomorrow, or even where in your workplace, wherever. Like, just promote somebody, like I want you to like do this as an activity, right? Just make it sweet, and I would really appreciate that, right? And now I want to end this talk with this. Opportunity is 20% giving and 80% taking. Seize the opportunity, grab it. Like as far as they are 50% up to you, go for it. Don't slack behind. I'm talking to women, I'm talking to everybody on, like, if you are a woman, you are any, no gender is excluded. Opportunity is 20% giving and 80% take that opportunity for yourself, and leverage it, and shine with it, right? So you can reach out to me at Ikega Ruth on Twitter. You can send me a DM. You can also send me like a mail. I would be want to like hear more about my whole story. Want to still, anything, just reach out to me and I would love to answer your questions or anything. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ruth, for that enlightening session. I've seen so many comments. Some are really funny, especially one from Precious Amadi, who talked about applying for outreachy, and she's waiting for either a rejection mail or acceptance mail on the 20th. Whatever happens, coconut head, like you said, failure is actually inevitable. People that think being a tech woman is easy, trust me, it's not. It's not a bed of roses at all, at all. So many times you would fall. But I believe it's important for you to rise and fall. That's when the strong woman in you is actually evident. Thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing your story with us. And I believe everyone has learned a lot. Thank you so much. So very quick session. And this break session is going to be very, very amazing and very, very interactive. So for those of you who have your phones right now, I'd like you to right now follow us on Twitter at SheCodeAfrica, as we're about to bring up a conversation that we'd like to have your input on. You can also send your comment here on YouTube. I'll definitely read them out. We're going on our Twitter break, and keep tweeting, keep posting, keep tagging us, and keep using the hashtag SCAIWD2021 so that we'll be able to take note of your comments. Right now, I believe my co-host will be joining me. Right now, Nifemi will be joining me as we'll be moving on to our Twitter break. Now, we're going to bring up a conversation. And like I said, it's going to be very, 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 very interactive. We're going to talk about some misconceptions about women in technology. A lot of times, people see us and they're like surprised that we are tech queens. And it's quite confusing because they believe tech people have like a common outlook. They have their glasses, they have their headphones, or they have their AirPods, they have their backpacks, they always carry their laptops everywhere. Have you ever heard some people say that tech women are tomboys? Misconceptions, like all the time, all the time. We have various things that people actually say. People talk about, the fact that tech queens are not supposed to do certain things, or they're supposed to look a certain way, they're supposed to feel a certain way, they're supposed to talk a certain way, they're supposed to walk a certain way. So let us know what you guys think about these misconceptions. I would like to also know about your experience also. Have you had any backlash because you're a tech queen? Or have you gone to a place and then it's filled with guys? I actually have a lot of experience with that because in secondary school, I was the only girl in science class. It was like, I think, like in SS1, you know how everyone does like the same subjects, right? But then later on, you you divide yourselves into you have the science class, you have the commercial class, and then you have the arts class. And then initially, I think we're about 5 girls in science class, but the second term, all the girls disappeared. Like I was the only one, and I was like, oh, okay, fine, then just count me in as one of the guys. And it seemed like this trend actually followed me till the university because in 100 level, for the most part of the semester, I was the only girl in my class. I studied chemical engineering, and I was the only girl in my class. It was actually amazing. It was really amazing. But it did not make me a tomboy. So I would like to know, what are the common misconceptions you have heard about, women in technology. What are the various misconceptions that people have said about women in technology? I'd like to know. Please start posting your comments right now, and I'll be reading your comments. Unfortunately, my co-host can't join me right now, so I believe I'll be taking this session alone. So, like I said earlier, what are the various misconceptions? We're going live on Twitter right now to check out um, your comments. Oh yeah, and we can actually see that most of you guys have been tweeting using the hashtag SCIWD2020. Please keep the tweets coming. Keep the tweets coming. Keep the tweets coming. Let us know. Let us know. Let us know. What are the various things that people have said about you? I heard one. I actually heard another one, and I've seen it also. I heard a guy say, "I can't be a woman in tech because my hair is long." My hair is actually long. Forget this thing that is here. My hair is long. But they feel like, we're all supposed to be on low cut, we're all supposed to wear baggy shorts, big tees, and other things. It's not like there's anything wrong with, wearing all those things. But then it should not be stereotyped. We should not all be stereotyped that, you know, oh wow, I can see a lot of comments. I can see your comments right now. Please keep the comments rolling in. Like I said, don't forget to use the hashtag SCAIWD2021. You can also put in your comments here on YouTube for those of you who can't access your Twitter right now. Please do not forget to send in. Oh, I've seen. If they are pretty, they don't know anything. Are you from Sherilyn? Now, if they are pretty, they don't know what. First of all, I'd like to say to qualify the woman in technology, you have to be really smart. So people feel like you cannot be pretty and smart at the same time. I don't understand. Thank you so much for this comment. Oh, women in tech have low female friends, as most females find it boring.
Yeah. I once had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn and was like, wow, you're too pretty to be a woman in tech. I was like, this is not a compliment. I don't take it as a compliment. I'm not too pretty to be a woman in tech. Like, where have you been all your life? I have a lot of women in tech who are super beautiful. Where do you live? That's what I usually ask them, because see, if a guy or anybody at all feels that women in tech are not pretty, that means the person have been mingling with the wrong set of people. Because if you're acquainted with a community like ours, I mean, you must have seen thousands and thousands of women in tech that are super beautiful. So I never take that as a compliment, though.
Thank you. I was going through our previous videos on our SCA channel on YouTube, and I saw the amazing women, amazing and beautiful women. Let us not forget dripping, gorgeous women who were, giving presentations on open source and things like that. And I was like, why would people even think that tech queens are not beautiful? Wow. Okay, we have, oh my goodness, we have so many comments. We have women in tech are too ambitious and men don't like that. Are we too ambitious?
Wow.
I don't understand.
You can tweet your comments as well. These things are some of the things we are trying to challenge. Remember, as our keynote speaker said, she said that we should change the narrative. Okay, so if we don't talk about these things, people would use these notions and keep running along. You get, because this is what they've always been meant to believe. So you don't just say it in the comments and leave it at that. Change the narrative, tell your stories, snap your pictures and tell them that this is what a woman in tech looks like. Okay, let them know that these things no longer exist. They never even existed. It's just that those people are mingling with the wrong set of women or with the wrong set of people entirely. Okay, so don't just comment, tweet it, use our hashtag SCAIWD2021. We want this hashtag to trend on Twitter today. Okay, let people know that this event is happening at this very moment. Okay, so some guys feel organizations are giving females more opportunity because they are female. Yeah, this was the bone of contention yesterday. The about 8 hours Twitter space meeting yesterday discussing this very notion. Okay, wow.
Okay, Shayla is saying she always got the tomboy comments for carrying backpack around in campus, and she was the only girl majoring in IT. Wow. I think I don't know, but carrying a backpack is not such a bad thing. I feel like I prefer a backpack most of the time because like it has enough space to like accommodate every single thing I'm
Please, there's
carrying
an
at once.
interesting comment here. Are you seeing this comment right here?
Oh my goodness, I'm seeing this comment with your long hijab.
Are
Wow.
you sure you are a UI UX designer? This is not good. I mean,
I
second-guessing a
can't
lady
even
because of her
imagine.
outfit. This isn't good at all. Wow.
Okay, we have someone here. So, Shola Kumi Oyedele. She's still in secondary school. They have a section for technology students. The ratio of girls to boys is 69-7. And she's the only student going for computers. Wow. Wow. I totally feel you. I understand you. I understand you. Someone once told me women in tech simply want to do what guys do. I'm sorry. What guys do. I believe we've learned already that technology is not a guy's world. It's not a man's world. It's not only guys that are in tech. Someone did tell me that a woman in tech won't see husband because she won't be able to concentrate on her family. Wow, 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 wow. So as women in tech now, we'll not see, we'll be married to the streets and to the streets alone.
This
We're
is
not going to
interesting.
see husband. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. How can they say we will not see husband? We have married women in tech, and trust me, you're going to see it all around our Twitter page because we are going to post this. It's
Okay.
quite like someone said. Okay,
I think
Rod
our
said
time
this
is
is
up.
deeply problematic. It's quite alarming. Another misconception is that women in tech always have a guy helping them with a project. We can handle ourselves. We can handle ourselves. I believe we can handle ourselves. We don't need guys to help us out.
Of course we can. I mean, anybody can help anybody out, but women should not be stereotyped with that.
Exactly. Women should not be stereotyped with that.
Okay.
I remember when I told someone
Okay.
I'm looking to get tech, and the next thing he asked was, is it as a customer care rep or personal assistant? What? You know, I even wanted to,
This is
I actually
interesting.
thought very interested because I actually did not really expect this kind of comments to come out because I feel like the world is evolving and also mindsets also are evolving. And so people should not say this kind of things
Yes.
again. But these things to keep coming up, I don't know.
That means we still
I
have
don't
a
understand.
lot of work to do in changing the narrative, actually. Okay,
We
so
have
we might not be able to take all the comments because the comments are much, okay? But we will definitely engage with all the comments if you tweet them. So if there are comments you've shown here and we've not been able to like read them out loud, go tweet it and tag She Could Africa and use our hashtag SCAIWD2020. Okay, Queen, I think we should stop with the Twitter break for now because of our time, okay? And get into
okay.
the
Yes.
next speaker, or what do you think?
Our next speaker.
Okay,
Yes, our
all right.
next speaker.
But before we go over to the next speaker, yes, I saw a question. And I believe that question was targeted at Miracle Elwin, but I don't think she's here. But the person that Esther Ugweke was asking, how can she identify the best skill that suits her? That she likes graphics, video editing, data science, but that should she explore the tree and then find out which one she likes. So I believe you already answered the question, okay? You already answered the question, explore, then land on one, okay? It's normal to have a lot of interests. As I have a lot of them. I have plenty, okay? And at some point, when you're multi-potentialite, you can be confused at some point, okay? Because you don't just know which one. You like this one, you like this one, you like this one. So just explore the tree of them and then make a decision to start with one. Eventually, you might still pivot to another one, but just start with one first, okay? I hope that answered your question. So, Queen, you can go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, Amarachi. Very quickly, we'll be moving on to our next speaker for this event. Our next speaker is joining us from the UK and she'll be talking to us about validating your business idea. We have joining us from UK, Abiola George. Abiola George is an international development expert. Yeah, and right now she is a PhD researcher at the Open University in UK. And like I should be talking to us on validating your business idea.
Self. Please okay. Hello, Abiola. Please unmute yourself. Click on the mic symbol down on your screen.
Can you hear me now?
Great, great.
Sorry about that. You must have missed my introduction and about why my background is a bit funky. I had to sit on the floor next to my router when my original plan didn't work. So please forgive that. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity. And it's been interesting because I've been here from the very beginning listening to all the amazing speakers. And it's interesting also how everybody's session kind of builds up together. Starting from Marlene talking about, when they say about African females, and in my own sphere, entrepreneurship, immediately they're showing women selling stuff by the roadside. They're showing really women who are poor doing businesses. Can everybody hear me now? So I'm still seeing you. We can't hear you. Can everybody still hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm looking at the comments on Facebook. Am I audible? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. So let's just get stuck in. Will it work? Your ultimate guide for validating your business ideas. Can you see my screen? Is the next question because I don't know where. See my screen. Perfect. So I'm calling it your ultimate guide for validating your business ideas, because what I'm designing, what I've sort of put together for you is literally a way that you can verify to see if an idea will work, before you end up committing a lot of money, resources, energy, emotions to it. I don't know why things are okay. And would you believe I'm the one in the UK? We're supposed to have advanced technology to start with mindset. And it's something that's very, very important, I think, for women, especially, more than it is for men. And this idea that business ideas succeed, and how we then failure on the back. We try ideas seen and also experience. It's that when an idea fails, yeah, when an idea fails, we tend to take it personally. And so, for women, it's more like I failed because we're so invested in our ideas. We're so our ideas are part of who we are, as it was. It's like we're giving birth to it. And so when something that we put out there fails, or it's not accepted, or it's not celebrated, we find that for most women, it's we take it personally, and so we're reluctant to put ideas out there in the future. Meanwhile, we find that for men, once they fail at something or an idea doesn't work, it's more like, okay, let's see what the next one will be. And so if there was nothing else that you take away from here, it's the idea that when you put out something and it's not accepted, not celebrated, or even it fails and is a catastrophic fail, to be able to distance yourself that it's that idea that didn't work out. Maybe it's not, the timing is wrong. Maybe it's an idea before its time, like I've said. Maybe it's something that people just don't need, but just to be able to distance yourself from the idea. So you have not failed, the idea has failed. And this is very, very important when we start to talk about entrepreneurship, and also getting your idea, starting a business. Because as an entrepreneur, or somebody's thinking of starting a business, one of the most important tasks you can perform is getting your ideas out from your head into a tangible format. And I said this because we have an idea. The tendency is to romanticize the idea. You think of what can be with this idea, and sometimes, because it's all in our minds, it can really be very nice, and you can see where the money, you can hear the catching, you can hear the alerts coming and everything. But until it's in a tangible format, you actually do not have the building blocks of a business. Before, it used to be that you had to go out and do one long-winded business plan. But I don't feel business plans are what people should do when they're just starting. I feel that business plan is good maybe when you've tried something out and you've decided, okay, fine, this is working, and I would like to scale. I would like to, do more. And so hopefully in this short time together, you'll be able to test your idea quicker in 30 minutes to an hour, and you'll have something that you can try to work with. So we're going to be looking at 9 different areas. Think of it like the beginning and end of a code, or like a yeah. So the first and second things I'm going to talk about are going to be the bread on the burger. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And this is a very important question, because several businesses fail by applying a lot of time and financial resources to build the wrong product. So it's vital to understand the problem first. What is the problem users have that your business or your idea will address? Thinking about it will make sure that you are meeting an existing need. Yeah. And the other piece of bread, the one that goes at the bottom, is a customer segment. You can't think of a problem without thinking of a customer in mind or a client in mind. Yeah, so they're intrinsically connected. So without a customer segment, you can't think of their problems that you want to solve for them. And so it's crucial for you to deeply understand who your customers are. And at this point, I'd like to always say to people that, your customers and your consumers are not necessarily the same. So let's say, for instance, you're developing something for children. The children are your consumers, but they're not the ones going to bring money out of their pocket to pay you. So they're not your customers. So you need to be thinking that who is this thing for, because it's going to eventually impact how you then start to advertise it or communicate the value of what it is to people. And it also helps you with crafting your message when you then start to advertise. So you need to think, who is my customer? Who is my consumer? It's fantastic if they're one and the same, but you need to be aware if they are two different people or customer segments. So you need to understand the problem how the problem you have identified impacts your customer segment. Number 3, your unique value proposition. What do you bring to the table? It's the promise of the value that you're going to deliver. Yeah, it's the first reason, or is the primary reason that somebody will buy from you and not from another person. Yeah, so it's not like, oh, I'm very hardworking, or even I deliver on time, or any of those things are very generic. It needs to be something that's very special to you. Might be how you do things. You need to think about it. We don't have time to get into deeply crafting a unique value proposition, but you need to understand what makes you different from other people that your potential customers or clients want to invest their time and their money. Why should they choose you? Yeah, why should they choose you? And if you write proposals, you find that maybe you've come across this. So the fourth thing is, the actual solution. Yeah. So first we thought of, this is the problem I'm trying to solve. These are the people I want to solve the problems for. But what is the solution to look like? And for you to understand what a solution looks like, you need to, in the words of Steve Blanks, get out of the building and go and ask people, what will the solution to this problem look like for you? You might think that it's like this, and they think, actually, no, it's like that. And you may think, oh, it's something that should be delivered like this, and you think, no, it should be delivered. So you need to actually talk to the people who are going to be your end users, as it were, or the people at least who are standing in place for them. Going back to that distinction between your customer and your consumer. How will your business or your solution help to solve the problems? And this brings us to something called the MVP concept. And I want you to actually grab a hold of this if you have an idea that you want to test. This is very important. Basically, the MVP is your minimum viable product. And all it is, what is the bare bones of what you're trying to do? Yeah. And how much are people willing to pay for it? So I'll give you an example. I was talking to a lady who wanted to launch a business, an online digital platform an online platform for recruitment. So she told the idea to potential investors, and they were like, "Oh, well and good. We see that you're talented. We see that you're capable. We'll see that you can actually do this, but we don't see the customers. We don't see the money." And so what she did was to then go back and say, okay, fine, this is what she's trying to do. And so she communicated to a few people and said, no, what would you be willing to pay for this kind of service? And people, gave her an idea of how much. And then she said, okay, will you pay for this? And she found about 10 people signed up immediately. So she went back with the 10 people to the people who she was talking to say, you know what, I actually have a customer, I have a better set of customers waiting and they have paid money to be the people who, so that by the time the bigger version comes out, they've helped her also, even though they paid her money, they also help with the iterations to make sure that what comes out is actually a better version of what she was intending. So this is your minimum viable concept. It's something that you should, I think if you're thinking of starting anything, you should look into, what are the bare bones, what are people willing to exchange money for? That's how you really know if you have an idea that you can take to market, even before you spend your hard-earned money or too much time devoted to actually sort of creating a solution. Next thing is channels. This, we cannot stress the channels enough. Channels are basically how you access your customer. Yeah. How are you going to access your customers? Your channels can be your email, your social, targeted ads, blogs, articles, radio, TV webinars, physical store, whatever experience centers. It can be any of those things. However, what you need to keep in mind, I say this is a pro tip. You don't have to be omnipresent. Yeah, you don't have to be everywhere. You need to find where your customer segments hang out and go hang out there, which goes back to understanding who your customer segment is. Yeah. So you need to understand that very carefully so that so that you're not wasting your time and your effort. So if your people, for instance, are on Twitter and you're on LinkedIn, that's not working for you. Or if your people are on Instagram and you're somewhere else, you need to find out where they're hanging out and you need to go hang out there. So that's where they're going to get to know you, where you're going to be able to ask them the questions, they're going to be able to make them the offers and see also how they interact with you. The next thing that you need to think is, how am I actually going to make money? How am I going to price this good, this service, this product that I'm taking to market? And there are many different types of pricing strategies. You can go in high, you can go in middle, you can go in low. You can. There are many different ways, but you need to understand how you're going to price. For you to understand your pricing strategy, you need to know what's going on around you. Also to know what your market can absorb, and you can only do this also by research. Again, going out, getting out of the office and going to talk to people and sort of get a feel of what they're already paying for similar solutions and what they would pay for something that would be a better version of what they're getting. So it's important for you to know where your revenue will come from. Very, very closely related to that is your cost structure. And this really fails, many people fail at this because it's a lot of people don't think about exactly how much it costs to deliver a unit of your product or your service to someone. And sometimes you can think, okay, fine, maybe I'm a developer and really it's just me sitting by a computer writing, so it's my time. How do I price my time? And that is just only one component of your cost structure, your time. So it's your time, it's the actual product that you're developing. If you are sitting in an office working on a computer or laptop, you're using electricity, you're using data. Um, Depending on where you're working from, you may or may not be paying rent or contributing to rent. So there are all these other things that people don't consider that adds to their cost structure. So in accounting, they call it variable costs. So for you to have a cost structure that makes sense, you need to be able to understand all your costs. And it's when you understand all your costs that you'll be able to know that your pricing strategy is going to be a sustainable one. Because if the cost of getting one unit out is 70,000 and your in point six you're decided to sell what you're doing for 50,000, you're losing 20,000 with everyone you sell. Even if you're selling a lot, yeah, you're losing money at the end of the day because you don't fully understand your cost structure. Is everyone with me or am I going too fast? Let me know in the comments, please. Just if you're with me, just type one or yes, so that I know that I'm not just speaking into the wind. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Ada. Thank you, Marquis. Thank you. Okay, so number 8, and that's number 8 of 9. So we're almost at the end. Key metrics is how will you monitor or measure your performance? Now, a lot of people don't actually think about this. How will you measure or monitor your performance? What will be happening? What will you be seeing happening for you to know that you are on track to meeting the goals that you have set for your business? You need to decide from the very beginning how. So, for instance, if as a new business, growth is what is important to you, you need to be able to then distill that to X amount of people a day, so that X amount of people a day will lead to X amount of people a week. And so if you check your trend day 1, day 2, day 3, and it's not what you're expecting, you can then go back and say, okay, fine, what am I doing different? What can I do different to boost these numbers? Yeah, so you need to be able to understand. And again, for you to also understand your key metrics, it all ties back into what problem are you trying to solve? Who are you solving it for? Where are these people that I'm solving? Is this solution the correct solution? And so if it's the correct solution, how much is it costing? So all of these things are very important for you to measure and track and to be able to understand how you're going to go ahead and track these. So number 9, and this is something that a lot of people also don't think about, is what's your unfair advantage? What is that thing that you have access to that cannot be copied or cannot be bought? What are those things? So it can be anything. So it might be a patent. It might be for instance, I'm doing my PhD currently, and there's some things I might stumble upon that's a different way of doing things that a lot of people haven't thought about using in my own context. Like there's nothing new. Let's just get that. So there's nothing new. What is new is your application of that thing that So just a little segue. I was thinking about it one day. I was talking to somebody, and because I'm maybe of the slightly older generation than most of the people that I hang out with, so with the time when were a thing, or if you're online on Instagram especially, and people are like, oh, it's a new thing, it's a new thing. But no, if you have ever read a magazine, yeah, those spreads across pages is what somebody else thought, okay, fine, this thing actually works in print. Let's do it digitally. Yeah, so it's nothing new. What is new is how your application of it, how you see it, and you might have a unique insight that nobody else has. Value that as an unfair advantage, and it plugs into your unique value proposition that we spoke about earlier. It might be somebody that you know. It might be, access to somebody that, has spoken to you first, or somebody that has it could be anything. So you need to think, what's my unfair advantage? And find a way to plug that without actually maybe even being like, you can't go into your unique value proposition and say, my uncle is Dangote. Example. You need to be able to say that you have access to leverage resources that your competitors can leverage, that will give you access into particular. Find a way to couch it, but it's your unfair advantage. And this is it's a secret weapon that a lot of people have in crafting their unique value proposition. And if you feel that you don't have one, that's not true. Your own unique perspective to things is an unfair advantage over somebody who doesn't see it the way you see it. And so that brings me to essentially the conclusion of this. So the 9 chunks of information help you better see and validate your idea very quickly. It will help you in testing the markets, and and this is not supposed to be something that it's not that you're not finished and you have a document that's cast in stone. No, it's something that you're supposed to be able to tweak and change, move forward. Okay, this is not working. Okay, this is working. Somebody gives you feedback, you go back and plug it into your documents, because if, for instance, you're thinking, okay, I can sell this for 1,000, but from the feeling that you're getting from the market, you can actually do it for 300,000. It's going back to that and saying, okay, this is plugging that and see how that affects your cost, seeing out and that sort of thing. So you need to, it's something that is intertwined, and it's something that you are able to.
Unfortunately, I think the network there is so bad. She actually complained about that earlier. But I think so far we've been able to get a lot. I have been able to learn a lot. And she made mention when she started that the business plan is for, when you've started something and you're like, oh, okay, I think I want to scale up now. And then a business plan comes in. Thank you so much, Abiola George, for that amazing session on validating your business idea. I'd like to know what you guys have learned so far from these various sessions. You can even talk about, from the first session, even up until now. Okay, so we have another speaker, but before we move to the next speaker, I'd like to involve you guys in some interactions. Now, from all of the panelists or the speakers that we have had today, we've definitely learned a lot. And I think one main thing I have actually taken note of is the fact that in technology, women keep challenging the norm. There's this normal mindset that is like in the hearts of people, talking about saying things like, oh, technology is a man's thing, or the various misconceptions we've talked about already. And I think we have seen it time and time again that women are constantly celebrated for actually pushing these boundaries, pushing these societal boundaries that have been set, from the onset. Women are no longer just, using their laptops to watch movies and to watch makeup videos. Not like there's anything wrong with that. But we found other uses. We code now, we are programmers, and so many other things. I think we have, yes, Patibrizi, we have learned so much. We have learned so much. We have learned so much. I think it's really, really amazing. We've had amazing sessions here today. And I'd like to know, like I said earlier, don't forget to follow the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag SCAIWD2021 to, follow the conversation. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for those of you who are still here. I appreciate you guys. So I think very quickly, okay, we've seen Patibrizi's comment now. Your consumers and customers are not always necessarily the same thing or the same person. Yes, like um, Abiola said earlier, your consumers and customers are not always necessarily, the same person. If they're the same person, I mean, it's totally fine. I mean, all well and good. But if they are not the same person, you need to learn how to reach out to these two classes. Okay, it has been a really, really enlightening session. We have other speakers who are available for us today who would be talking to us. We have someone who will be talking to us on um, leadership. We have someone who will be talking to us on leadership. We have somebody who will be talking to us about how she switched careers. Yes, I think the next speaker is actually, I'm really looking forward to this because take this, she switched careers into software development in her late 30s. For those of you who don't know the meaning of late 30s, we're talking about like 35 upwards. So for those of you who feel, oh, it's too late to like delve into the world of technology, we have someone here who is sharing her life testimony, how she switched in her late 30s and how it was for her. We're going to be talking about, very, very many things. We'll be welcoming Bukola Kende. Bukola Kende is our next speaker. Now, Bukola Kende is an amazing woman. She's a software developer, she's a web designer, she's a fashion designer, she's a speaker, and she's a writer, and she's from Lagos, Nigeria. Hello, Bukola. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good day, everybody. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bukola Kende. I'm here to actually share my experience on how I switched from my other career to a software engineering to a software developer in my late 30s. At this point, I would like to appreciate She Code Africa, especially Ada in person, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you all and share my experience. Also, I would like to appreciate Amarachi. She has always been reaching out to me time after time to prepare for this presentation. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my slides so that you can actually follow up on some points that I'll be presenting. Hello? Can anyone see my screen? Hello, can anyone see my screen? Okay. Hello? I think I'm having issues with you guys seeing my screen.
We can't see your screen.
Okay. Share screen. Okay. Okay. So I'm sorry for that interruption. Uh, I will be talking about my younger days as someone looking into the looking into the tech environment, I was actually I actually started in my younger age when I had friends, male friends are into tech, and as I was going into that, I got involved with computer programming. I went for computer programming. At that stage, I was not convinced because I have other plans. Because I'm also interested in designing generally. So with that, I was not able to further in my computer programming visions. So I went into I studied microbiology. After the microbiology, I started looking for jobs. Then I actually got into a job as a front customer service person in a transporting environment. After that, I was like, it was a shift job, and I was like, I got into it thinking that okay, I can make some money in it. Then further go into my fashion designing aspect. Although it was a shift work, I went into the fashion designing aspect of it, and at a later end, I was challenged by my junior brother. He was into tech generally. He was always getting jobs, changing jobs, and I was like, no, I really want to get into this space and see how far I can go. Then coupled with the fact that my pastor then, when I was in Daystar, is always sharing the fact that the IT is the future, and I see it as something I can leave for my children, something I can get involved with and actually share with my children in future. So after that, I took some courage, and I went into the computer environment as a whole. I started researching. I went into looking at some sources. I went into and actually I got some resources that I was using generally to upgrade myself, as in self-learning. I was really interested in it, and I went from that to studying things like the digital environment. Hold on, please. I'm having technical issues, as most people I can see. I've really been. I don't know what's really. I don't know what's really been happening on my screen here. So I was able to get into this web. Okay, I hope you can see my screen now. Hello. Can anyone hear me and see my screen? I think I have double screen here. Wow. So let me just continue. So I started looking into the tech part generally, as in the coding aspect and the non-coding aspect of it. I went for a program, a conference in Lekki, organized by Google Business Group, and it was an enlightening. It was a general orientation that technology has the coding aspect and the non-coding aspect, and it was very intriguing for me. And I had to go to the web development sector of that program, and I was like, okay, I think I was going to go into software development. After that, I got myself together and started looking into started looking into books and resources that I can actually read and get myself updated with. But after then, I got into reading resources like lynda.com. I got into resources in looking at the plural sites. Then at the time, I actually discovered that I needed something that would give me an outline to be able to follow to read. So I looked into my into a resource that I got for my sister. Then she went to a computer school, tech, and it gave me a lot of outline on how I can actually go about my learning. After that, that was that. Then after that, I started looking into things like HTML, CSS, and I actually started with C sharp, and it was so very, very difficult for me. I was like, no, I can't do this. And I later looked into JavaScript, which was much more simpler, and I understood the whole process. Then I looked a little bit into jQuery and Bootstrap. Those are the aspects that I looked into. Also, I later got into some learning tools. I was actually using brackets at the time. Then I got into CodePen, then finally I was comfortable using the VS Code. Then there's this aspect of the whole journey that was so crazy for me when it comes to GitHub, learning GitHub generally. The GitHub aspect was very, very confusing because many tutorials that I took were like into some of them will be using Mac and Linux and operating system to teach you, and whereas you're on Windows, and it has been very, very confusing. But at the end of the day, I was able to get myself through with all these learning tools, and I was becoming more comfortable and more confident. I was actually becoming a tech person. Then I went into then I discovered that I needed to go into the boot camp. And I needed to do some boot camp courses because they said boot camps in a way they help you a lot. They help you to understand your person. They help you to get into the career aspect of the whole techie space. They help you to upgrade your CV. They help you in such a way that you upgrade your LinkedIn profile, because at that then my LinkedIn profile was a mess. I was not really getting, it was not something that I was presentable. So I was looking at, so somebody introduced me something like the nano degree. I was looking at the nano degree. It said it's a very good boot camp that I can take. I said, okay. Then luckily for me, the nano degree, they gave a 7 days free opportunity. I was like, this was fine. And I quickly opted into the nano degree program. It was for 7 days. I was able to familiarize with the environment of the book, and I was like, a boot camp was actually a very, very good thing. Then at a point I was studying, I needed to get my hands on exercises. I needed to treat some things that are being taught, copy the codes and looked at them and be able to twist them in such a way that I'll be able to understand it more. I was looking for plans. Then I come across this Screenbar environment. It really helped me to actually get into the Screenbar, to really understand what I was learning then. It was so comfortable because I was able to. It's a kind of a program where you're listening to the video, and the video you can pause it and do some little changes and verify some things and continue the video. It was very awesome. I also looked at into boot camp with there's this Angela on Udemy I followed, and my experience was like giving me much more confidence, and I think I actually present. Then I want to talk a little bit about my internship phase. My internship phase was like, the first of it was the She Code Africa internship phase. I joined, and it was so amazing. It was so a lot of eye-opening trainings, and it was so pleasing to me. Then I was like, okay, this is the issue. Then it was there that I got to know that there are a lot of internship for training, there are internship for paid job and non-paid job. I was like, whoa, because anywhere I see internship, I was always applying it then. That was at the initial. Later I got that some internship are actually real jobs and they are real paying jobs, and I got that experience. I was like, okay, I'll be looking out for those that are both trainings and those that are those real work. I applied for outreachy. I also applied for Zuru, and the experiences were, they were just an eye opener, and they were giving me more confidence. In my work as in front end, I'll begin to ask my question. All these front end applications, submission of forms, data, and where do they actually go? How did they actually? So it's prompted me to start looking into back end generally. And I started looking into back end, and it was sweet to know what was happening at the back end. And after you develop the front end part of it, and you actually know what was happening, the database and everything. So it was so amazing, and I was like, no, this is was giving me a real flow of all what I have been learning. And I could see that with this, as a software developer, I can present something and I understand from the initial stage to the later stage. Then this brings me to the aspect of my profile and my resume. My resume was, I had a resume but was not for tech. So I had to start studying how I was going to rearrange my resume in such a way that can present me, on some platform to get a tech job. So I started doing that. I, tried a lot of online PDF templates and all that. And I moved from there to getting into my LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn profile was a trash. Then I started looking into LinkedIn profile of software developers, how they arrange. I was listening to YouTube video to be. So at that, I got my LinkedIn profile, all set up, and it was presentable. It was good. It was okay. At the time, I even had to submit my LinkedIn profile for a review in one of these platforms, and it was much encouraging and okay for presentation. Then also the issue of GitHub profile, updating my GitHub profile on a daily basis. There's a chart on GitHub where you have to be working every day to get, to make sure that your employers or whoever is looking into your CV or your resume see that, okay, you're always coding, you're somebody that is, somebody that's actually interested in tech generally. Then the other aspect was my portfolio website. I never knew what was portfolio website, at the beginning. I was like, how will I get what's portfolio? Although I had a website then, but not a portfolio website. Then I started researching into that, and I discovered that for some of my CVs and some of my credentials as a tech woman, I have to have a portfolio website. Then I started putting on one or two projects to fit into my website, and that was how I was able to come up with a portfolio website. All these are for actually for a particular phase of the tech. It's actually the interview phase. The interview phase is the stage where you actually have to present all these later things that I mentioned. I applied for a Shifet application, and I got in. It was then I discovered that different application have different approach. The Shifet was like an online automated online or remote interview where you'll be given a tech aspect and you also be given a coding aspect. I never knew anything about algorithm. That was my first interview, and I almost missed it. I almost I almost messed up. But luckily for me, the first application, that first day, the network was not good. So they sent me the coding interview, but I was not able to perform that day because the network was not connected. I think it was from US. So the network was not connected. I was like, so when I now got the email, it was like, so you have to, what is algorithm? Then I started looking into algorithm generally. And I was like, whoa. So I have to reschedule for like a week after that, and I was able to get my feet together in the algorithm aspect, not just the coding. Then later I applied for eWorker. Those ones are just like an agent, online agent, where you can just submit your CV, submit everything, and they schedule an online automated interview for you. Then you pass. If you pass, they will look for opportunities that they have on ground, and they will hook you up with such opportunities. I also applied for this Enya internship. This one was different in the fact that it only helps you only get you just get coding interview that you go and do and come back in like 7 days. And I was like, wow, this is another new and very different aspect of it entirely. And That was so. After that, I got into the algorithm, and I was looking at things like Edibat, Cobalt, and Lisco, and that was just it. My advice generally is to encourage every black and brown woman in the tech field that is aiming to go into the tech field or transition into the tech field to not give up. And there are a lot of light in this, because what prompted me into this thing is the fact that my brother that was into tech was changing jobs, was getting jobs in big organizations, and I was like, no, I can do it. And the fact that it's the future, I encourage everyone to embrace this space and see what it can give us. Also, I will encourage everyone to get involved in open source. Do your own project. It's just your own project, your own project. But when you get into open, there are rules. You'll be able to integrate yourself into the real working environment, and you'll be able to get things, done, and prepare you for your future job, or your later job. You can follow me at Twitter at Bukola14_Bukola. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bukola. Thank you so much for that amazing session. Okay. For a lot of you might think this is just a story, but this is not just a personal story of Bukola and how she ventured into tech in her late 30s. I actually gleaned a lot of lessons. Okay, just listening through this session, you would see the story of a woman who is resilient, who is consistent, and who knew what she wanted and went for it until she got to the apex. Seriously. So don't take this as just a story. There are so many lessons. The steps she took, she outlined the various things she had to do before she eventually got to where she is right now, including revamping her LinkedIn. You know what it means to move from an entirely different career into tech. You practically have to revamp everything around you,
Change everything.
your
Yeah.
CV, your LinkedIn profile, even the people you follow on social media, your bio, everything would change. Okay, so if you are here and you're looking at switching from a different career to tech, know that there are thousands of women ahead of you that have done this and they've succeeded at it. Okay, you heard her mention the first time she heard about algorithms, it was so difficult. She didn't know what it was. Okay, so it's a struggle, but people have gone ahead of us. They've done it, and they've done it amazingly well. They've succeeded at it. So at some point it will become very daunting. You might even want to go back to your previous career, like, what is this? why are you stressing yourself? Okay, but at the end of the day, it's going to pay off. So I'm seeing a lot of thank you comments to Bukola, and yeah, I'm actually very thankful that she came up to share this very inspiring story. If you still have something to say to her, you can use the comment section to thank her, because it's not easy. What she did is something a lot of people might find very difficult to do, switching a career. She got motivated by her brother, so now you have to go and look for a motivation. What are you looking at? Because it's that motivation that made her pull through. Okay, she saw her brother switching jobs and she felt this is something I must get, and she looked at that target until she achieved it. So I think the first thing you have to do is to get motivated. What is the bigger picture you have in mind? You look at that bigger picture and then you keep working towards it and doing everything humanly possible to get there. Okay, I think I'm not giving a speech. This is not my session. No. I'm just a host. Okay, so okay, so let me at this point I'll hand over to Queen to introduce the next session. Okay, Queen, over to you now.
Thank you very much, Amara. Very quickly, we'll be moving on to an interesting session, the panel session. And the topic up for discussion, sisterhood and allyship. Now, I know from like all the speakers that we've heard today, they keep repeating something about promoting women, helping women up. And now we want to learn practically how to actually empower, how actually empower.
Hello.
Various workplaces. And
okay, I think Queen's network is pretty bad. Okay, so I'm just going to do the switch. Okay, I'm going to be inviting Nifemi, who is going to be hosting the next session. It's actually a panel session, and this panel session is going to be graced by 3 amazing ladies, and they are going to be talking about a very interesting topic that borders around women and the way we support ourselves in the workplace, okay, in order to climb this leadership career. There's something I've noticed that most times when women climb to a certain leadership level, there is always this chasm between them and women who are a bit lower. There is usually a bridge in communication. Sometimes ladies are not even so free to speak to ladies who have gone ahead of them to achieve certain feats. Okay, so we are going to be discussing with these 3 remarkable women on how women can leverage sisterhood, allyship to support each other in climbing their career ladder. So I'm going to be handing over to the host of this session, who is Nifemi, and she's going to be handling this session. She's going to be taking the baton from me to anchor this conversation with our panelists. Okay. So Nifemi, are you ready? Okay, I guess I have to confirm if Nifemi is ready. Okay. It's all right. Nifemi is not available right now. Well, I am a very great backup. So I am going to be taking over from Nifemi at the moment until she's available. So without further ado, I'm going to be welcoming the panelists to this session. We have Ruby. We have Ruby joining us for this panel session. We also have Google to CISO, and we have Adim Soyo Awosika Olumo. Okay, thank you all so much for joining. Is Ruby in the house? Great.
Hi, I am.
Hi.
Thank you very much for joining us for this session. Okay, hi Google2, hi Ruby, and hi Ademosoyo. I hope I'm getting your names pronounced correctly. I deliberately skipped Ruby's surname because I don't think I'll be able to do justice to that. But let me try. It's Ruby Takema. Am I right?
That was a good attempt. Yes,
I skipped it because I didn't want to butcher the name. Okay, I didn't want to butcher the name like that. Okay, so straight to the conversation now. Okay, it's been observed that there is a gap when it comes to communication between ladies, especially in the workplace. Okay, so that's the reason why we organized this panel, because I believe that nobody just made it alone. We need people, and sometimes it's easier for you to meet someone who is in the same gender, like someone of your gender, especially in the workplaces. So even in sometimes when women face harassment or something like that in the workplace, there should be a clear communication where you can even speak to your fellow lady about that. Basically, she would understand. When it comes to female marginalization, it's easier for a lady to understand you than a guy. But then most times it's difficult for we ladies to even speak to each other on those issues. Okay, so that's the reason why we are having this session. Okay, so I'm going to be addressing the first question to you, Google2. Okay, I hope you're ready.
No problem.
I believe you
Yeah,
are.
no, I totally
Can
am.
you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Hi,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
All right. Okay, so of course I can. It's just I think there is
Awesome.
a kind of network delay from my end. So I think what I say reaches you a lot later. Okay. So once women enter the workplace and climb the leadership ladder, it's a responsibility for them to be accessible, okay, and help others to climb this leadership realm that they have also climbed. So what are some times that you have felt a sister, or you felt sisterhood and allyship play out a part in your career, like where a fellow woman was able to maybe help you through something, or even speak up for you through certain circumstances, or maybe you actually did the same to someone. Can you share your experience on that with our audience?
Sure. No problem. Great. That's actually a really awesome question, because I'm a huge believer in the necessity of laying a path ahead for the women, for the women that are coming before you. Because I don't believe that just because you've struggled on a particular avenue, that the person who's coming behind you should also go through the same struggles. I've been lucky enough to be part of various mentorship programs where you get access to certain doors or certain conversations that you yourself as a woman, doing your day-to-day activities, as awesome as they might be, you might not quite have the same access to. Like currently, right now, I am part of the mentorship program by the Women in Africa Foundation. My mentor is Vivian Yeda. She's part of the East African Central Bank, if I'm not mistaken. So, having such a powerful woman who knows exactly the struggle that lies ahead of you and is able to have an honest conversation with you about the pitfalls that you may face is honestly priceless as well, hey? And then on the other hand, I think for myself, I try my utmost to really share opportunities as well as connections with other women that I may come across. An example, currently we're fundraising for our first check. So, the first investment that we have in my startup, Tumeza. And I've realized that getting access to funds that are really, I wouldn't say sympathetic, but empathetic to the female journey are actually quite difficult. Like we've spoken to about 60 funds so far over the past 30 days, and we have come across two female focused, female run funds, and then you start thinking that if I myself who's got this time to focus on this full time, what about someone who's trying to get into entrepreneurship as a first try? Would they even have the patience, or not alone the patience, but the aptitude to actually stand, the pressure to actually find those film focus funds that might actually work out for them. So I'm a strong believer in providing connections where you can, as well as opportunities where you can, even though they might put you in direct competition with other women, because there's strength in numbers. This is how men have gotten so far. It's the boys club. Why can't we have a female club as well through the opportunities that we have? I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, it's a men's club. Why don't we have females club or women's club? Okay, that's something to think about, right? Why don't we have women who are in constant support of each other? Okay, so that brings me to the second question, which I'm going to be addressing to Ruby. Okay, so we've been hearing the term women supporting women, and I believe that a lot of people don't really get what this entails. Like, when we hear women supporting women, what does it really connote? In what ways can I, as a woman, support a fellow woman, especially when it comes to our careers? Okay, Ruby, I directed that to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Amarachi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Ruby, like she said, and I am more than privileged to be part of this panel session. So, women supporting women, I think it's become very cliche thing to say. People say that all the time without really knowing what exactly that means. And that's why I'm happy that we're here, at this conference. Hopefully we leave here knowing better how to support each other. So you find that, girls, we kind of connect on the most basic level. So you could just be someone somewhere and maybe you have similar interests, which could be hair, makeup, and all of that. But these are very mundane things, and life is more serious than that. When it comes to career, your profession, academics, and all of that, it gets deeper. So when it comes to supporting each other, particularly in the tech field, it means that we are amplifying each other's voices. You're in a room that your friend isn't, and you realize that she has a skill that is required in that room. You are willing to stand up to say, oh, I have someone that I can call immediately. And I'll give you a quick example. So I've got a friend friend who is amazing at what she does. She's a social media manager. As a matter of fact, she does more of social media strategizing. So she just basically helps brands to build their social media presence. And she's so amazing at this, right? So I wasn't even having that conversation. I was seated in the room with my boss, and he was having a meeting with someone else who requested that they wanted a social media strategist, right? And he said to him, I need someone ASAP to start this, and I need the person for the next month or 2 months. I can't remember. Like I said, I was not in this meeting. I just happened to be seated there in my boss's office when he was having this conversation, right? And as soon as he got off the call, I just heard him go, oh my God, who am I going to call for this? And before he finished the conversation, I already had her in my heart. Okay, I just knew that her name is Ugo. She's amazing at what she does. And I was like, oh, I've got someone that I can call immediately that can handle this for you. And he was like, oh, you called the person. So immediately I text her there and then on my WhatsApp, I was like, hey, my boss literally just got off the phone with someone who requires a social media strategist. I don't know if you'd be free to take up this job. And it was interesting because she was busy as at then, but she plugged me into someone else who might be available to take up that job. And it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's not even about going to give someone money. Sometimes it's not going to tell someone, gas someone up, light them. No, it's simply just being there for them when they can't be there by themselves, speaking for them when they are not there or available or don't even have the opportunity to speak for themselves. So women supporting women goes beyond just sending money to your friend, hanging out with them, saying that I love this person, tweeting and sharing love on social media and Instagram and all of that. It really goes deeper, and hopefully we can get to a place where even in our professions, in our academics, we are moving beyond just talk, just saying that, oh, I love this person, I support this person, but actually going to call out their names in places where they cannot enter or call their names by themselves. So yeah, women supporting women.
Exactly. Thank you very much. That was a very nice exposition there. Women supporting women is way more than going on social media or all the other stuff we do. It also involves you mentioning your female friends or people that are females in closed room, okay, where there are a lot of opportunities, okay? Because if you don't mention their names there, who will? Who would mention them if you don't? Okay, so the last question is I'm going to be addressing it to Ademushoyo. I got that correction. I pronounced it Ademusoyo initially, or it's Ademushoyo. Thank you very much for that. I picked it up. Okay, so there is something that happens in some workplaces, and it's termed repetition. It's a situation where a lady brings out an idea, pitches it in a boardroom, but then the idea gets ignored. And then a man says exactly the same thing, and the boss goes, oh, that's amazing, we're going to do that. Okay, it's something that happens a lot, okay, where a man repeats what a woman has said before and his own idea is picked. Okay, so as a woman in the workplace, how do I stand up for a friend or a colleague who has had that kind of experience of repetition? Or how do I even go about it myself if my idea is being hijacked by the male in the office or something? So yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Ademu Shoya. I'm super excited to be here. So this is something that's actually happened to me a bunch of different times, actually. And I think over time, as I've grown in my career, I've kind of become more vocal and been able to kind of really find my voice and be able to really advocate and strengthen myself. So a couple times, I didn't say anything and I was like, oh, this is so weird. And then another time when I was finally able to kind of have the courage to really speak up for myself, I just called them out right then and there. I just told them, I literally said that. And they had nothing, they couldn't do anything besides apologize, because they were like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you said that or anything like that. And I was like, it's okay. I just let it rock. But after that, they didn't do that anymore. I didn't do it again. And then another time recently that it happened, I then began to feel really frustrated. And I think especially during this time when we're all remote and so everything is virtual and you start to kind of see the same thing happening over and over again, and you don't have that privilege of being able to kind of vocally kind of express yourself, especially when meetings are so more finite. And so I actually kind of talked to my manager about it and how to really address it. And he actually said that he would like talk to his manager about that, because that's like not a good or pleasant environment to kind of be a part of or really do. So, but I say all this to say that the biggest thing that you can do for yourself if you're in that situation is to really start to use your voice, call things out. I know it's really scary at first. I'm someone who's really shy. Well, naturally shy. So it's not my first inclination to kind of want to like speak up or really say anything. I kind of like to let people sort of like speak for me or kind of stay in the background. But over time, as you start to grow your voice and as you start to realize that no one's going to care about your career and your advancement more than you're going to care for your career and your advancement. So you have to take ownership of that, and you have to make sure that everyone that knows that you care just as much as more than anyone else, so that they'll be able to provide you the resources and the tools to kind of make your career your own way. And then on the other side, if you see someone in that situation, if you see that someone is being talked over or being looked at, speak up for them. One thing that you could do if you're in a meeting, for example, is you can say, oh, it's just like when so-and-so said that, and so continue to kind of amplify their voice. And then also make sure that you, like, if you have that flexibility of even saying like what's going well within your team dynamic and what's going wrong, like calling that out is very great, and set that precedence with your team that everyone needs to listen to each other. We shouldn't repeat each other. So yeah, in summary, make sure you like find your voice and leverage your voice, and also make sure that you're calling out that behavior, and making sure that everyone is aware that that's not okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Ademushoyo. Speak out, call the person out, let them know that what they are doing is not okay. So when you find out that you're being a victim of a petition in the workplace, or that someone is being a victim of that, don't just keep quiet and say, well, I just want to be in the background. You know, that's what a lot of us do. You say, well, as long as the person gets the work done, it doesn't matter who got the idea. The only thing that matters is that this stuff is being executed. Please, it matters. Who got the idea really matters. So if someone is repeating what you've already suggested, you have to make them aware that you raised this first. And you can also tell them you don't like that, so that they don't get to repeat that again. Okay, thank you very much to our amazing panelists. You know, because I was called up real quick, I didn't introduce you, but I'm not going to be taking much time to do that anymore. But just know that Ademushoyo, Guguletu, and Ruby are all software engineers doing amazing in their careers, and are also founders. They own organizations they run, and that is the reason why I believe that they are basically the best people I can bring up here to talk on this topic, and they've done justice to it. So thank you very much for honoring my invitation, and for being on this panel session with me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
If you enjoyed the session, please leave a comment for our panelists. Bye. Thank you very much. Okay, so you can drop a comment for our panelists. Let us know whether that you enjoyed this session, that you enjoyed our discussions. And of course, you know, after every session, there's always an action plan. How do you intend to support a woman? How do you intend to stand up for a woman in the workplace? How will you leverage sisterhood and allyship to grow in your career? Okay, sometimes women are also accessible. It's just that you are holding yourself back. You feel if you get close to them that they won't reply, or they are not going to give you a listening ear. Okay, so sometimes the barrier is within you. So I urge you to leverage on sisterhood to improve your career. Okay, Queen Estrom is right here, and she's going to be carrying on from me. Thank you very much, Queen Estrom, for giving me the platform once again.
Thank you very much, Amarachi, for that amazing panel session. And thank you to all our panelists for making yourselves available. Sisterhood and allyship has been a topic for, discussion for a very, 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 very long time. And I think it's amazing that we've been able to, trash this out. Very quickly, we'll be moving on to our next speaker for this event. We're rounding up gradually. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, right? So we'll be moving on to another speaker, who is Donali Donaldson. She'll be joining us from Kenya, and she'll be talking to us about branding your way to your dream career. For those of you who have dream careers, how would you be able to brand your way through? Now, Donali Donaldson, like I said, she's joining us from Kenya. She's an education product strategist whose work has actually helped you
Okay. Thank you very much, Donali, for joining us. I guess Queen's network is pretty bad, so you can continue from where she stopped. I believe she has done the introduction. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you so much, Amarachi, and thanks to Queen. I wasn't sure if the internet issue was on my end or on her end, so thank you for clarifying that for me. If people can hear me, can you just type?
On her end. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. If people in the audience can hear, can you just type yes in the chat so I know that the audience is with me, please? I want to make sure everyone can hear. Not seeing any yeses come up. But I guess if Amarachi, you can hear me, then hopefully that means other people can hear as well. So, okay, thank you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you, which will have a PowerPoint on it. All right, so I'm hoping everyone can see my screen right now. And so the presentation for today is about how you are going to brand your way to your dream career. So again, my name is Donali Donaldson. I am at Donali Digital everywhere on social media. And I'm also on LinkedIn very actively. So please feel free to connect with me anywhere online. And so the focus for today is how you're going to intentionally create an attractive brand that will accelerate your career. And basically why this is important is because as you grow throughout your career, you don't want to always be in the position where you have to be searching for jobs, right? You want jobs to be coming to you, right? We all want to get to the place where recruiters are calling us, organizations are calling us, and we don't have to feel like we are desperately searching for jobs because we know how tedious that can be. In addition to that, having a great personal brand is really helpful for you to be able to negotiate better and to be able to get better compensation and better kinds of opportunities in your career. So something I want to make very, very clear is that your brand is what people think of you and not what you think of yourself. And I think that is a common mistake I hear a lot when I'm working with people, because I do career coaching as well, and people talk about their brand and what they think their brand is, but they haven't actually assessed what do other people think of them. And so you may have an idea in your head of what you think your brand is, but actually your brand is based on what others think of you. And so it's important to do the work to create and to curate what that brand is. So when we talk about personal branding, it is a conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in their industry, elevating their credibility, and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance your career, increase your circle of influence, and have a larger impact. And so as we're talking about branding today, I really want to draw your attention to this word, authority. And I would invite you to reflect on, what do you think you are an authority on? And what do people think you are an authority on? And what would you like to be an authority on? Because ultimately, with great branding, it's not just about people knowing what you do, but also being able to know and to advocate for you, to say you are actually the best at this thing. And I really love that example that was given in the last panel of this person that was like an amazing social media strategist, right? That person would not get a referral if they were not perceived as being the best, because there are so many social media managers out there, right? But how does that person set themselves apart so that they're viewed as the best, so that people are willing to take the risk and advocate for them to get hired, right? Because they can trust that they're going to be the authority, they're going to be credible, they're going to do excellent work. And so I'm inviting you to think about how can you also become an authority in your field. So a second piece of homework, and I hope you have like a pen and paper, you're taking notes somewhere on an app, or you can come back to this presentation later, because I'm going to be giving you a to-do list throughout, right? This is very practical. The second thing is you have to make a choice. How separate or synonymous do you want your personal and professional brands to be, right? For most of us, I think we're probably around the same age on this chat, which means that we have Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts, where we have an Instagram where we post lots of things maybe that we want our friends to see. But the reality in this day and age is that nothing is really personal anymore, right? And so you have to think about, when you're branding, when you're using those channels, right? Do you need to create separate channels completely that will allow people to see the quality of your work, versus mixing the two things? And I'm not going to say one is right or wrong. I just think you have to make the best choice for yourself. So here now are the 5 W's which we look at in order to determine what is our branding strategy. So the first question is the who. Who are you targeting? For many of you, that is going to be specific potential employers, companies that you want to work for, maybe peers that you want to know how good your work is, potential clients, etc. You should have a list of that. You should know what their priorities are. You should know what they want to know about you, right? And that brings us to the second thing, which is the what. What do you want these people to know about you? Is it a specific skill? Is it a specific impact you have made? Is it about a passion that you have for a certain sector, a specific skill set you have, etc.? Then you come to the third W, which is when. When are you going to interact with these people? Times of day, in person, online, offline, etc., which goes into the where, what channels you're going to use. Is it LinkedIn? Is it Twitter? Is it GitHub? What is it going to be? And then you need to be clear, why is this interaction important? Because why is going to help you with your success, right? So you're not going to do all of this work just for the sake of branding. You need to have a goal. So you're going to commit a certain amount of time and certain activities. That's your what. For what purpose? That's your why. Is it because you just want to be known? Is it because you want a promotion? Is it because you want to make a pivot with your career? You want to switch to a certain thing? I remember the earlier presenter who was talking about how she changed her LinkedIn, right? She built a portfolio site because she needed people to know what she was really good at. So, that's the why. She wants to get a certain kind of job. And so you need to think about your who, what, when, where, and why as you are doing your branding. So again, I think this is another piece of homework, number 3, for you to write down what are your 5 W's, and you lay that out as your strategy. Another point now is that there's riches in the niches. And basically what this means, sorry about that, guys, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. What this means is you're asking yourself, what do you want to be known for? And the reason I stress this is because a lot of us, we are multi-hyphenates. We have a lot of different passions and skills. And so sometimes we try to do everything, right? We're good at 10 different things, and 10 different people, if you ask them, what is this person's brand or what is this person good at, they will give you 10 different answers. And I know it is stressful, but we have to get to the point where we are able to pick one thing, where if you ask 10 people, what is this person good at? What are you good at? You will get the same answer consistently. Right? And the reason this is important is because you can actually build a strong brand faster by picking one thing and then expanding laterally. So what that means is you may want to be known as the best product manager for fintech. You want to be known as the best data scientist for the banking industry, right? You want to be known as a software developer in the edtech space. You build apps for the tourism industry, etc. And I know a lot of people struggle with this. I talked a lot with my coaching clients about this. They really want to be open to every opportunity. And I understand that because I am like that too. But the reality is when you get really good at just one thing, you get better opportunities in your niche. Because everybody knows you as the go-to person for that, you actually are able to get better jobs, you get thought of more quickly, right? Because think about it from like an employer or client's perspective. If they are trying to, sorry about the going back and forth again, I'm having a little glitch on this end. But following up with the niches, if you're a potential client or employer, let's say they are looking for a software developer for an edtech app, right? Who do you think they're going to go for? Is it going to be the person who is just known as a great software developer, or will it be the person who is known as the best software developer for edtech? It's going to be that second person, right? And so that is why the niching is so important, is because you will be top of mind for clients, for opportunities, and for jobs. Might have to use this view just for the issues I'm having. So I want to share then some do's and don'ts that you can utilize with your social media, right? And I'm referencing social media for branding because we're all inside due to COVID. So this is a great space to use for branding. It's relatively free because if we're all tech people, we all have internet access. So these are some things that you probably already know, right? We're not supposed to be using our social media for criticism, for anything that's plagiarizing, for sharing anything that is confidential, for posting any content that could be controversial, such as sexual activities or illegal substances, etc. Instead, what we want to do are some of these things. We want to post content that aligns with our brand, right? So again, if we're talking about going back to our niche, what is your why? Right? If your why is that you want to be able to access better jobs as a software developer for the fintech industry, then when I look at your tweets, I should see that in your tweets, right? Your LinkedIn, your Twitter, or whatever channels you're using should reflect that. If you have, a GitHub account or you have a portfolio online, when I look at it, I should see examples of work that are about software development for the fintech space. Because immediately it will show me as a potential client or just somebody who wants to refer you that this is what you are really good at. The second recommendation here is to pick the channels where your targets are. You do not need to be on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and everything on YouTube for branding purposes. It's great if you can do that, but honestly, many people that you see who are on all these channels, they have like staff helping them. But for us as regular people, we can think about who, going back to that strategy, who is the person you're trying to target and where do those people hang out? So if your who is recruiters from a certain industry, if they're all on LinkedIn, if they're in certain LinkedIn groups, go there, right? If they're on Twitter, go where they are. If they're in certain Facebook groups, build your presence and your brand there, right? So pick a channel based on where they are. Remember that you can use different content on different platforms. So, LinkedIn might be a great place to write a very long post or a note that lays out your ideas. Twitter is better for shorter content. For example, Instagram is better for images. So you want to not just be copying and pasting the same thing to every channel, but think about which one is best for the kind of content you want to give. Schedule your time strategically. So, if you are looking to attract recruiters' attention, your post should not be coming out at midnight when they're asleep, right? It needs to be at the time when they're online. You can also use hashtags to connect with others with similar interests. So that can be based on country, it can be based on sector, it can be like this conference right now, right? There's a hashtag for this conference. Are you using it to tweet so that people know, oh, this person is into tech and they're at this tech conference, let me look at what they do, right? So for countries, for Kenya, they use KOT for Kenyans on Twitter. For Rwanda, it's RWOT, Rwandans on Twitter. Or you may have a tech specific one like Tech for Dev or ICT for Dev or EdTech, whatever your hashtag is, you may want to use that to push your content out, but also to find other people to respond to their threads so that you are a part of that online community. And then the last tip I would give is to post as if your next employer is watching. So this goes back to this idea of, is your online presence and persona, are you focused on personal or professional? And just bear in mind that even when you do have quote unquote personal accounts, nothing is really personal these days, right? Especially for tech people, that there are ways to find your personal accounts, right? So just be careful that anything you're posting can be shown by or seen by others or found by others. So as we, wrapping up, I just want to share some ideas for good content for your branding that you can share online. So it can be your portfolio. And if you don't have one as a tech person, you definitely need one. And I would recommend it being under your name. So actually getting the URL for your name. So yourname.com and keeping your portfolio there. Impact stories, do people know that you have built an app that has been used by 35,000 people, or, you have manage the build out of a product that is now on the App Store, whatever that is. Testimonials, if I look you up online, am I going to find some positive feedback about the work that you have done? Things like tweet ups online, video chats, like you getting and being able to creating and resharing that kind of content. Do you have any analysis of your sector? Like if you're a fintech person, do you write online about what's happening in the fintech space right now? And then you can also share your lessons learned as well as stories of struggle and growth. Going to stop sharing for a minute. I think somebody said they couldn't see my screen, which is really unfortunate because I thought that you guys could see, but nevertheless, I'm going to just go ahead and wrap up now. That just as a golden rule I'll end with is that you shouldn't post anything on social media that you would be embarrassed to see on a billboard. And so I will leave you with just like a final tip as we wrap up is just to think about, if you asked people what they think of your brand, what do they think you're best at, and it doesn't sound like what you want it to be, that lets you know the work you have to do so that they know that you get to the brand that you really want to have. And that's it.
All right. Okay, Donali, thank you very much for that session. I actually thought you didn't want to present with your slide. Okay, so that was I didn't know you actually wanted to use that, but it's fine. The message has been passed, and I actually love the balance it has created for the put yourself out there charge. Okay, sometimes people hear put yourself out there, but they don't even know how to go about it. So this topic has balanced that. So in as much as you are advised to put yourself out there, you need to know that you are a brand and you need to check the kind of things you put out there and the platforms you also use. You need to have a motive, okay, for putting yourself out there and walk in that light. Thank you very much once again, Donali, for this amazing session. Okay.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, we are. Our time is fast spent, but nevertheless, we are still going to take just one more speaker before we call it a day for today's event. But then, before the next speaker comes up, please let's not keep our social media platforms idle. Okay, you are here, and people need to know that you're getting something from this event. People need to know what you've learned. Some people might not be able to come here today or to even watch the replay, but your tweets can go a long way in educating someone who was not able to make it to this event. Okay, so without further ado, Bethany is already on the screen. Bethany is a UI UX designer at US Studio and also a program assistant at Andela for the GADS 2020 program. And she's going to be speaking to us on how to lead in the community. It's not just enough to be in the community. There are also a lot of ways that you can assume leadership position. Remember, the theme of this event is women in leadership and how women can leverage technology to climb their career ladder. So everything we are doing today have been centered on this central theme. So Bethany, thank you very much for joining us. I'll leave the floor to you right now. Thank you.
Hello, I hope you can all see me. I've been having issues with my light, so I am hoping you can be able to see me. I'll be sharing my screen in a few minutes. Okay, I think it's up. You can tell me. Yeah, I can say it. So thank you so much. I am Bethany, and today our theme, as Amarachi has said, our theme is all about women in leadership, how we can be able to advance leadership. So for me, the talk I'll be talking about is what is leadership, why community, and also giving you ways in which you can be able to plug in and lead in the different communities. So a bit about myself, as Amarachi has already mentioned, I'm a program assistant at Andela for the Google Africa Developer Scholarship Program, as well as UI UX designer. And the thing is, if I don't talk about how I started in the community I won't be able to really explain more about what a leader is and what it takes to be a leader. So probably I could just share a snippet of how I got into tech. I joined university. I think I've realized that most of us, not most of us, the speakers that have just spoken before me, as well as Ada, they all majored in microbiology, something that is not really tech related. And I think I also am in the same line. So my major is business. And when I joined uni, the first task we were given was to come up with an innovation in a group. At that time I never knew what tech is, what software development is, but in our group we decided we're going to do a software development project. Having no idea what tech is was really hard working that group, but as I grew and I understood what the process it took and being able to see the impact our project had, I now had the desire to join tech. And so I'll be speaking at how I've been part of different communities, being able to grow in the communities, as well as taking the positions of leadership through writing code, designing, etc. So first things first, what is a community? A community is technically a group of people in the same area, just having the similar characteristic. For tech, it's majorly having the same interests. So, and a community is not just can be centered differently. So, for instance, for She Code Africa, it's African, and the main thing that brings us together is women and tech. For Andela, it's different. For Andela, we're trying to grow Africans to be able to learn how to code. So our aim is still in Africa, and our main thing that we have in common is being able to teach everyone how to code. Why should you be part of tech communities? So I have two parts of this. So the first thing is to be able to learn. Being in tech, when you're new to tech, the first thing you need to do is to be able to learn what exactly do you want to do. And tech is mixed with so many things. So being able to learn what skills you need, being able, and something interesting I always hear is being able to teach is to learn twice. So being able to teach others what you're learning, receiving mentorship and being mentored. The other reason is to build. After learning, what do you do? The second thing is to build. And being in a community is very easy for you to be able to build products because you're working with other people. You can be able to collaborate. And through mentorship, you're given the chance to know how to build the products, who to build the products for. That's the impact. And sharing your knowledge to the rest. Two things about community I can also say is the idea of learning in public. As Ruth has mentioned before when she was speaking, she talked about how being able to learn in public, share her knowledge to the rest, enabled her to grow. Same thing with what our panelists mentioned, being able to tell people what you know about someone else because you know that person has been doing this. So in case I get someone asking for a software developer good in React, I know who to recommend because I have a friend who knows how to code in React. So being able to learn in public is one of the pillars of community because as a community, you can be able to know what your friends are doing, be accountable for them, and also grow them in their community. The second thing is consistency, something that builds up something that you require in tech is being able to fall down and rise up like it never happened. And it's very hard to do it in isolation because Stack Overflow won't tell you everything. But being able to surround yourself with people who can be able to guide you through this journey is very important. Now to the major part of this conversation, leadership. So leadership for me is all about authority and influence. So either authority or influence. As a leader, you can have the authority bestowed onto you to lead a community. For instance, I think today and yesterday, my Twitter feed has been filled with people being accepted for Oscar Africa. Oscar is an open source community in Africa. People are being accepted to lead the different chapters. So that's you given the authority, you're given the chance, that is you. Then influence is you being able now through, for instance, through learning in public, your friends know you're good in this thing. And being able to have that influence to teach others on that, it's very important because now they have the ability to say you can be able to do A, B, C, D, and yes, they trust your leadership. So why should women take up leadership? No, generally, why should we take up leadership skills? The first thing is, as I mentioned, learning everything. I think in our world before COVID, it's just taught us so many things, like before and after, and currently we're still not yet after. For instance, we're still experiencing the whole COVID situation. We're not yet out of it. So being able to just learn is one of the most important skills you need, as you can be able to just adapt to the different scenarios and situations. So one of the things with leadership is you get to learn. You get to learn so much. The next thing is to mentor. Mentoring is being able to show others. If I go through being able to shift from business to tech is something I've been able to go through. And I can be able to influence others, to mentor other people and inspire them to also shift into this tech space because I've already been there and I can be able to, I know what it took for me to reach here, the different challenges I face. And that is one thing that as a leader, you should be able to do. The other thing is to grow. You're not only responsible for your own growth, but the growth of others. So as a leader, one thing you should know is leadership will give you a chance to grow and fit into your shoes, as well as grow others and see people grow, people under your wing, develop their own wings and fly. It's one of the most rewarding things you can ever get in this life. The other thing is to share. Being a leader enables you to share your knowledge with others, share what you learned, and impact so many people. For instance, She Code Africa, I got the She Code Africa review when the year began, and I always love reading about what people have been through, what they are hoping to achieve. And one of the things I saw in the review, give me a minute. Yeah, one of the things I saw in that review was She Could Africa aims to skill up 20,000 African young girls. And one of the programs they launched last year was the mentoring program. And with that, you can be able to see the impact grow slowly and slowly, and it will compound to something greater. So now a continuation of why tech leadership roles is, as women, we are setting the pace for others. I have realized being in the tech space for like 2 years now, I've realized that the number of women in a room is very small compared to that of men. The number of women taking up opportunities, if I can be able to go back and look at the statistics, documenting your community is very important because you can be able to go back, look at the statistics, be able to see what has been going on. And for me, one of the most painful things I know I have gotten to see is the number of women is so devastatingly low. At times it's like 20%, others it's 11% of the whole community is women. So something that as women taking leadership opportunities is a chance to set the pace for others, a chance to show others that yes, you can also be able to lead. The other thing is, one thing I have had in the tech space over and over again is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like you're not good enough, you're not up for the task. And one of the favorite quotes I have on imposter syndrome is by Dale Carnegie, and he says, "Action breeds confidence, inaction fosters fear." Being able to take action and start that path breeds your confidence. It slowly elevates the imposter syndrome in you, and you can be able to confidently say, I was there last year, and this year I am here. I can do this. Taking a bigger challenge than yourself tells you that, and being able to face the challenge, learn from your mistake, overcome the failures, succeed, sometimes fail, succeed again, gives you the confidence to continually try again. Now, one of the things, this is now the last part of my talk, is something about leadership that I've been able to experience. So as a leader, the 3 parts. So there's when you're starting your community, or when you take up the position, when the present, when your community is now grown, what are you doing at that moment? And the future, what will you be doing after? Like, what is your end goal? So I'll speak about this in a few, I hope I still have time. So I'll speak about this in a few minutes. The first thing is, when you're starting, is to know the why and the who. I've had, I don't remember her name, the speaker who talked about personal branding, telling us that you should be able to know why you're doing this. Find out why you want to be part of this community, and then who is this community going to. So the first thing, knowing the who, is the first thing you should understand about community. You're not building this in isolation. You're not leading the community in isolation. You're leading people. And people have emotions. People are human. And being able to understand who these people are, where they're coming from, what their experiences are, enables us to include everyone to be part of the community. The other thing is to know the why. And as I mentioned earlier, the reading about She Codes Africa mission normally tells me what exactly She Code Africa is all about. And I've been able to be inspired by the mission because the mission is about training up and skilling 20,000 African young girls. And this guides them to understand what their hopes are, to understand what to do at what time. The other thing is your mission, you can also intertwine both your personal and the community mission, being able to align both of them to the same place. The second thing is about the present. So I know I'm out of time, but I'll be able to, I think I can rush through this. So the present is about being able to celebrate each and every win you come through. I think one of the most motivating things in life is being able to see yourself from the eyes of not only yourself, but from the eyes of your past self. Like imagining how far you've come and being able to celebrate that, being able to celebrate a win. If one of your leaders has won an award, celebrate that leader. If one of your leader is featured somewhere, if one of your team members is featured on what, celebrate them, because by celebrating them, you can be able to now grow and at least find the reason to continue. The next thing is to be present, review, be able to have like time to review your community and reflect and think about where you are at the moment and where you want to be in future. So the next thing is about future. So future is about where you're headed. So the first thing, go back to your mission, go back to why you started and find out, is this the path we're really taking? Is this where we are headed? Did we meander somewhere, and why did we do that? Is this the right way to meander, or should we still think about it? Being able to just think about what you want to achieve, what you want to grow. So I recently hosted a session on Power Platform because I realized not everyone is privileged to enter into tech, and Power Platform is Microsoft's low code, no code tech, and it enables people, even without the background of code, to be able to build their solutions. It enables people in marketing to be able to build products, to be able to use the data, the processes, and automate all of them, to build apps and to be able to find insights without actually learning how to code. Yes, this actually taught me something very valuable by being able to just know what your mission is and finding ways to just empower everyone. Then I think the last thing is be innovative, be creative, create spaces, create teams, create opportunities for everyone. Find ways to be able to incorporate everything to come together and find ways to enable everyone to do more. Oh yeah, wow, I forgot I had this slide. So the last thing I have to talk about is how can you be able to take the leadership roles. So the first thing is to find your space. Find out, where do I belong? What do I find joy in? Identify if there are any challenges, or identify if there are any communities around you that are solving the same challenge, and being able to just take up the space, take up your role. And the last slide is about choosing to challenge. So challenge yourself, challenge your skills, challenge all the stereotypes, the misconceptions we've mentioned today. Be able to challenge them, challenge your friends, be able to incorporate them into your plans, be able to incorporate them and move together with them. And lastly is to challenge your community, being able to speak up, being able to find a way to improve your community, to improve the experience of everyone. And yeah, every day just choose to challenge and dare to become who you hope to become. Thank you so much. You can follow me on social media, or find me at Bethany Jep. I'll be posting the slides there, or I'm hoping Shukura Africa will be able to provide the slides. I hope the session was insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bethany, for that amazing session. You've basically highlighted everything we need to know to get started with leadership in the community. It's not just enough for you to belong to a community. You can also assume leadership positions in the community. The case study Bethany used was She Code Africa, and yeah, we have a lot of people who are holding various leadership roles in the community. So even if you can't start your own community, you can always join an existing community and learn your leadership skills. So yeah, if you already sparked up to do that, you can quickly join our community at Chicode Africa using the link that will be dropped in the comments. Yeah, you can come and join over 6,000 women in tech like you who are going to be working with you to ensure that you get the best out of your career. So thank you so much once again, Bethany, for this insightful session. And with this, we are coming to the end of this session, or we can still say we have actually come to the end of this session. Yeah, because it's been 3 whooping hours. I mean, 3 solid hours. So if you joined this program from the very beginning when Marlene gave a keynote speech, then I mean, I don't know how to express this. Like you've done awesome. If you joined midway, you've done awesome. If you're watching the replay, you're still doing awesome. It's just that you now have a front seat at the event eventually. So this video is going to be up on our YouTube channel, of course. So you can always watch the replay if you missed certain important sessions in this program. So Queen, I believe you have something to say to our attendees before we round up.
Well, I just want to thank each and everyone for staying through to the end, for staying with us from the beginning, for staying with us up until this time. I mean, you guys are real MVP. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you to all our panelists, to all our speakers. Thank you all so much. Thank you to our keynote speaker, Marlene, and to each and every other speaker that we had today. Thank you for such insightful sessions. Trust me, we cannot recover from this event at all, because that's been mind-blowing, that's been life-changing, and I believe we have been able to change mindsets in this event. We have been able to challenge stereotypes. We have been able to challenge ourselves also to break through barriers, to break through the norms of the society. And if that is all we have been able to achieve today, I think we've done a pretty good job. We've done an amazing job. So thank you all, speakers, thank you to all the panelists, and thank you to She Code Africa, to all the team members, to everyone working behind the scenes to make sure this event turned out amazing. Thank you all. Thank you to each and every She Code Africa member also. You guys are amazing. You guys are amazing. Yeah. So, and also, like Amarachi said, do not forget to follow us on all our social media.
And one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more thing, this discussion, this event is not just stopping here. It's not just ending here. The conversation continues on Twitter. So I'll urge you to join, like follow us on Twitter, tweet about the event. Okay. There are a lot of things we wanted to discuss with you, but because of time, we had to remove them from the schedule. So we are continuing those discussions via Twitter, and I believe you'd want to join in those discussions. And also don't forget that the term Choose to Challenge is not something you do in one day or something you do in 1 week or in 1 month, because it's Women's Month. Choosing to challenge stereotypes is something we should live by. It's something we should do every single day for the year, for the rest of our lives. Okay, so I hope whatever you gain from this program eventually lives with you, and not just something you drop after Women's Month and then everything goes back to normal. Okay, so thank you very much, Queen, for Okay, I believe. Okay, I thought you wanted to say something.
Believe that, so yeah. Oh no. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add that. Oh God, unfortunately our time is up. But we've enjoyed every minute of this event. We've enjoyed every minute of this event. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So